on a podcast called J is for Justice.
I think there's just hope that she returns no matter what. Oh my God, that's Megan's house. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then, wait a second, you guys. We have breaking news. All of a sudden in the chat, there was breaking news that there was a raid going on in Houston, Texas. It may be connected to a high-profile case.
That's her best friend. She would not be.
Yeah.
Hello, Dre. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. We missed you last night. We missed you last night in the live, but you got to see this little snippet. What'd you think?
There's a lot. There's a lot of really good information that opened my eyes.
So we had a lot of people that had already seen it that watched again. I'm excited to hear what their thoughts are, seeing it a second time, walking through it. Hi, Shell. And that was just hi, Lisa 1111. That was just a little bit of, we talked for, it ended up being 6 hours.
Really?
Yes. So it just was, we were all over the place, but with this case, you're always all over the place. Like it goes from one thing to the next, and then you go over here, and then you're over there, and then you're in the interrogation, and then you're at Survey. It's just like everything melts into the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it just turned into 6 hours. So the full video link is in the Patreon. It's not something that I want to release in its entirety on YouTube. I think that there's some pretty raw things discussed in there, and I like to have those conversations in the Patreon, but I will chop it up and give you guys like the meat and potatoes of it, which is the first video that we did just now. The one that I just released was from last night's live.
Well, and that's why I was like, wait a minute. How long was the live? What happened? Like, I had to talk to you. I'm like, Jay,
I know.
Please go live after this.
I know. Everybody's like, well, we weren't live just a minute ago. That was a premiere. So there's a live chat, but it's not necessarily a live stream. So people are like, why are you live again? Like, you were just on a minute ago.
Up.
Yeah, we're just following up. I mean, I saw a lot of people at the end were like, WTF. So I'm kind of...
My screen went black. Yes.
Yeah, so I guess they thought that it was going to keep going. But no, I mean, that's just an hour of our 6 hour. And I just wanted to share the GPS with you guys. So, Dre, is there anything like you want to say or whatever? I'm going to give you the floor for a second.
I will say I'm very, very, very intrigued. And I know not a lot of people agree. You know what I mean? And that's totally cool. You know? If you don't agree, can y'all bring why you don't agree instead of saying like, oh, that's stupid. You're a bunch of fools or like hateful stuff. Yeah. And I mean, I get it.
I mean, I laugh, but it's really not funny.
It's sad because it's like, wait, why do you feel this way? Like, why? You know, bring a debate, bring a healthy debate, challenge Kim. Kim's ready for this. We're all wanting to hear every side. That's the thing. We want to be as transparent, but we also want to hear everyone's side. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the issue is that some people will comment and, you know, I get it. You have compassion. I'm for that. I have compassion. Jay, you have compassion. Mm-hmm. But to say, oh, well, you guys are, you know, a bunch of true crime hounds that don't do anything with your lives. Okay. Why? 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 Tell us.
Why? Ask why. Yeah, I mean, Kim's coming correct with facts. So if you disagree, I want to hear why. Like, no, that doesn't fit the narrative, Kim. That doesn't make sense because of X, Y, or Z. Challenge it. If you don't believe it, bring it here and challenge it. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Then form an opinion. But don't form an opinion until you've challenged it. And
there's so many things that we want to know about this case. Mm-hmm. And Kim's talking to him. Whether it's to some people, it's oh my God, why would you talk to him?
Why do you want to talk to a murderer? That. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. You know, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well then why did those two FBI profilers talk to Ed Kemper back in the 70s? Okay.
Good point. Good point.
That's following up. This is what we do as humans. We want to know what happened. We didn't get the answers with this case. I'm sorry. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying, oh, everybody, because we're on this one channel on YouTube, you have to believe everything we say. That's not what our goal is.
Right. We're learning with you guys. Yeah, we're learning together.
And there might be some plausible questions or, angles that somebody might have against what someone else has. And that's what it is about. That's true crime. You don't just walk up into a true crime, like an actual crime scene, and be like, oh, because this is out of place and this is out of place, this is what happened. How? Like, that's not a true crime case. Like, there has to be a level of specificity on how you conduct your research. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't think this case was done that way.
Well,
So
I mean, let's
curious
talk about,
angles.
let's talk about what we discussed. I asked him to go over the GPS because it was all mumbo jumboed in the discovery.
Oh, God, that was confusing.
Yeah. So what happened with that is that Nicole Atkinson offered up her screenshots from that app Life 360. Did chat stop moving, or is it just my computer?
It's still moving for me.
Oh, mine hasn't moved in like a minute. But anyways, this Life 360 app, what was I saying?
We were talking about how the case.
Well, yeah, that we were talking. Yeah, we were talking about the GPS. Like, I asked her to walk me through it because it was all like wasn't in the right order, because she offered up to share the screenshots from the Life 360 app that was on her phone. She was like, hey, I have this app. Do you guys want this information? It was at the end of her interview where she sat down with her kid, Nicholas. They sat down for that interview. At the very end, she offers up the screenshots. So all they had was what she gave them. Mm-hmm. So when we talked it through, we saw them leaving Arizona, then popping up in Thornton, and then going to Frederick. So we don't really care about, we do care about the GPS, but the times are important, because Shannon said that they didn't get back to Denver until, like 1 o'clock? And she got home at 2. Yeah. Yep. So why was NA's phone in Thornton at like 12:53 a.m. if they didn't, what I'm saying? It's just the times don't match up.
No.
That's what I'm saying. So can you explain to me why the GPS has her in Denver when they should have been like in the air?
It doesn't make any sense.
Tim Herman, it hasn't gotten the attention. That's why Kim is on YouTube, to give it the attention. Like, the mainstream media reported the story that he confessed to all of it. So do you really think that the mainstream, all these media outlets are going to go, oh, never mind, it was wrong, he may not have done it? They're not going to do that. So that's why, when I ask him, I'm like, why YouTube? Like, why put this out there? And she's like, there's really no other way to get it out there. And you have to get it out there and, gauge your support and gauge what people are thinking, and get this information to them, because sometimes, like in court, you can't talk about certain things, which is a good point, right?
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah. That's very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at the GPS, I was confused, and I live in Colorado, and I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. None of this makes sense. Like, 1 minute it's AM, the next minute it's PM. What day is it? You know what I mean? Like,
Mickey Barnes says, do we have Shanann's pings? I don't know. Because I don't think so. We don't have like
I don't think we do, no. The only thing that I remember from that night, but more so morning, was that she had tagged on Facebook or had checked in at the Phoenix, Sky Harbor International, and that she was flying to DIA. But that's
Can I show you guys something real quick? I gotta airdrop it to myself, I think, unless I can open it this way. But I want to show you guys something, and I want to ask you a question about it, and I want to see what you guys think. So just go ahead, keep talking. I'll pull it up.
I will say I agree with Andrea. The problem is that we don't have everything. So much is missing. Amen. We don't know. There's so many loopholes to this night. You know, it's like a lot of us, if we travel, we have our boarding ticket. Where's her ticket to show that she actually got on that flight? You know what I mean? We don't even see the ticket.
Well, you know, I think a lot of it is e-tickets on the phone. So I would think it would be like in her Apple Wallet or in the app on the phone. So, yeah, where is that? And also there was a big thing in chat about you can't use someone else's boarding pass. Now, when you go through security, no, you cannot. You have to show your boarding pass, which has your name, your date of birth, and then you have to show an ID. You have to show either a license or a passport, and it has to match that boarding pass. If the name, even if the middle name is wrong, they will not let you through. But once you get past that point, let's say you're with a group of people. 3 people are going to California and 3 people are going to Boston. You're all at the gate. You're 2 different gates next to each other. And you say, you know what? I want to go to California. You come over here and go to Boston, right? So they just switch and they just scan each other's boarding pass and get on the plane. They've already been through security. You know what I'm saying? So once you get to the gate, that's free space, you know? I mean, you have to have a boarding pass to get on a plane, but they're not checking names is I guess what I'm getting at.
Once you're through security, I had to ask my husband, because girl, I haven't flown since 2016. And I had to ask my husband, I'm like, did we have to show ID? And he's like, because he had just flown to Colorado back in June. And he was like, no, once you get through security, you just show your boarding pass and then they call your number and you just get on what side you're on. Like it's that simple. And I'm looking at him like, so they didn't ask for your ID? No.
No, they don't when you get on the plane. You just, I mean, literally there's a line, you scan your phone on the little thingy. Like literally they don't even touch your phone because COVID, you know, you just set your phone on the scanner and you just keep it moving.
It's so
Tim Herman made a comment that I want to talk about. Tim says, Scott Reich has followed this case from the beginning, and he says everything was done by the book. He says he wouldn't touch this case because he has 0 chance with the 35C. I have also seen that, and I respect Scott more than you even know, Tim Herman.
Scott's a good guy.
And I do believe that Scott knows what he's talking about. I'm not saying I'm a professional. I don't know Kim's credentials, and I don't know her background yet. For reasons unknown, she hasn't disclosed those yet, but I'm sure we will find out sooner or later. And I don't think she's just a normal lays person, just based on conversations I've had with her. But I will say that I watched an old podcast of Scott's. And Tim, I implore you to go back to Scott Reich's channel. It had to have been right after the murders. It had to have been before the end of August of 2018. Scott did a podcast, and it was when D.A. Rourke was requesting those autopsies be sealed. And Scott went on and on about how wrong this was. And he described how the Greeley Tribune had to file a civil suit against Weld County for the release of those autopsies. And he goes on to make other remarks also about the way that the prosecution was handling the case. So maybe, Tim Herman, you should go back and listen to those episodes, because there were things that Scott mentioned. Now, maybe now in the grand scheme of things, he doesn't find those things to be as
admissible.
Yeah, like it doesn't. It doesn't make sense and help anything now. However, he did state there were things that were done incorrectly or he didn't understand. Like the sealing of the autopsies. Like he straight up said, "I've never seen this except in Columbine."
Yeah, oh my God. Yes, I remember that. I remember that video actually.
That's exactly what he said. And that was when he first, I was like, oh my God, it just came on. You know how you let YouTube play on the auto play and it'll just like
Yep.
randomly pick from your subscriptions? This one
Yeah.
came up and I was like, oh my God, he doesn't even have like his books. He's literally like podcasting with headphones and a backdrop, whatever. It was just like
I
early
remember
on.
this.
It was early
I
Scott
remember
Reich.
this.
It was like OG Scott Reich. It was awesome. And I loved listening to it and going back to that time before we knew all that we know now.
Well, and I mean, it's just like the whole Kessinger thing that just recently happened.
Mm.
We're all sitting there thinking, okay, she's got a court date.
Mm-hmm.
I show up at the time that was released to the public. That wasn't the case. I mean, I missed Scott by what, 3 hours?
Yes.
I showed up to the court. I mean, I was right by the door waiting.
Oh, yeah, I know.
to see-
Poor Dre was waiting and they had done it. They had done it earlier, right? Or later in the day.
No, it was
after.
after.
Yeah, they did it in the afternoon instead of the morning.
It was after, and I missed Scott Reich by a couple hours.
I know. You were so excited to meet him.
I was, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh my goodness, this case has been huge. You know what I mean? Jay, you followed it from day one. I'm the reason why you're the reason why I'm here. Like I've been following you from day one in this case.
I love that.
Yes, it's just how things fall into place. But even Scott, like he even said, how did we miss it? Well, I've got a reason for you. Sometimes things are not really truly what they tell you in the legal system. And that's not a bust against Scott, but this is just how they handle things.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, I mean, everybody was sitting there thinking she's got a court date and it didn't happen.
Yeah. Angela said, Jay is for justice. What about the DNA info Kim dropped? And I'm assuming that she's talking about last night in the Patreon. So there was, like I said, there was a lot of raw discussion. And that's the kind of stuff I'm not going to put out here because then, you know, it gets convoluted with people's comments and disdain and hatred. And I'm really getting tired of the hatred. There's no reason to hate on me right now. Like, I just don't get it. Yeah, Happy Face 2012. I trust what Scott has to say about the Watts case because he's not biased. He doesn't have a relationship with the family to influence him. Yeah, and I don't either. I don't have a relationship with either family. I've talked to Jamie Watts maybe once or twice, but I wouldn't call that a relationship. So I wouldn't say I do either. It's just that they're willing to talk.
When you haven't talked to her in a long time either.
No.
I mean, that's been a long, long time ago.
No, yeah. I mean, I texted her Happy Thanksgiving, and that was probably the first.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Well, that was the first time in months and months and months, but
it's not. But that's the thing.
I just think she's a kind person, and I think that she's been through a lot, and I feel bad.
But see, Jay, think about it this way. You have a person that went on YouTube just 2 months ago that was like, you're on the Russek's payroll.
Oh, yeah. That's
There's
right.
really no narrative here.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're right. I forgot about that.
No matter what angle, it's like you can't be a true crime aficionado, as Scott says, which I love how he says it, but you can't really be a true crime aficionado. People are not always going to agree, and that's totally fine. But
yeah,
you come out with the hateful stuff. Come on, y'all. Like,
yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
Michelle RC, I had seen a couple things. I don't know if anyone had picked up on or seen. What is it, Michelle RC? What did you pick up on? Do you want to call in, Michelle? So in the meantime, you want to keep an eye on that and see if Michelle wants to call in?
Yeah, I'll look.
All right. So these two screenshots were sent to me and I was asked a question and I want to ask you guys the same question. I hope you can read them. I hope they're not blurry. Can you read them?
I can see Nicole.
I mean, are they really
Atkinson.
small?
Not for, but I'm on my phone. Not for me.
Oh, okay. You're on your phone. Okay.
Yes, I'm on my telephone.
Now,
Ready to
when
go
you look at
home.
this, what do you see that doesn't make sense or is
Well, I'm seeing 2 dates. I'm seeing the 10th and the 12th.
right? Me too.
One has description, like a little description. One doesn't. Like ready to go home.
Okay, what about
One-
what airport? Are those two different airports? Wow, look at that.
Oh my God.
Wow,
I
one's Phoenix Goodyear and one is Phoenix Sky Harbor.
Sky Harbor.
Interesting.
Oh my God. I didn't even see that. I'm looking at the picture.
I mean, what is that? What does that mean?
Oh my God. I didn't even see that. What is Phoenix Goodyear? Is that like a regional?
I don't know. Want to look it up?
Yeah, let's look it up. Oh my God, please. Let's look this up.
Okay. Hang on.
I mean, I said
Let
Phoenix
me
Sky
blow
Harbor.
this up because hold on. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm thinking I'm working an iMovie. I'm like I'm doing it like I do an iMovie. I'm losing it.
Did you read what Tiffatot said?
I didn't. I'm not looking at.
Oh, I love Tiffatot.
What is it? What'd she say?
She said, it seems like people are trying to get you into the drama community, but you're a true crime channel. It's dumb and petty. You're amazing, Jay. Don't let them get to you.
Aw, thanks, Tiffa.
She's so sweet. I like her. It's very true, though. But girl, I never even noticed that. The two different airports. Stephanie
Ann said it looks like she picked the wrong airport. They're different dates, though.
Yeah, the dates, the 10th and the 12th. And then one has a description and one doesn't.
So
like
what was the name of it? Phoenix Goodyear?
Phoenix Goodyear Airport. Like Goodyear tire.
The Goodyear blimp?
Yes.
How come when I put Phoenix Goodyear Airport, Google automatically put Boneyard after it?
The military actually has a boneyard.
Yeah, it was built. It was built during World War II as a naval air facility.
Yes.
That was what the airport was. Okay, so this is in Phoenix. It is 20 miles west of downtown Phoenix. And let's see how large it is.
The dates are kind of what's throwing me off, though. Like, even if she would have picked the wrong airport, how is one saying the 10th and one saying the 12th? Like, I can't muster up a reason for that.
Yeah, it's just odd. I mean, I don't know. I was sent this and asked, and I haven't gotten an explanation on it. So that's what I picked up was the different airports, the dates.
And one says Phoenix, one says Goodyear, Arizona.
Yeah, different towns.
Yeah.
But if you choose something, you can, like, I can be sitting here and I can choose Denver Airport. But will it say Denver, Colorado on it, like as my location?
Yeah, it'll say Denver International. Oh,
but will it say, you know how it says underneath there, like the city? Does it say that?
It should say Denver. Yeah, it should say Denver. But then again, because there's a Denver is weird. Robbie would know this.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, do they pick up your location on your phone, or does it just automatically pick up the location where that airport is that you're checking in? You get what I'm saying?
It should pick up your location. But then again, Denver is weird though, girl. Like,
well, no, I'm not saying just Denver. See, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I'm like so secluded on I'm like, Denver.
No, this isn't no, get off Denver Airport, okay? Let's change our thought direction. That's very come out of the dark place. Lucifer is evil. Okay.
Oh my God.
My son has a Lucifer tattoo. Did you know that?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Boo got one. Yep.
Stop.
He did. It's cool. It's pretty cool looking too.
I love it.
Yeah, it was like his little tribute to himself, like when he, left.
Lived in Colorado.
Yeah, when he lived out there. Yep.
Girl,
it's a badass tattoo. It's really cool. The red eyes and everything.
I love it. Oh, but yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, so what I'm asking is, okay, if I'm sitting here in Florida and I say, you know what, I'm going to fly to Denver. No, forget it. Don't say Denver. Detroit.
Don't say Denver,
Detroit.
My head's stuck.
Detroit. And no, your brother-in-law's not delivering FedEx in Detroit.
Okay, we're in Detroit.
Okay,
we're
so
not
we're
even-
in right. Okay. So are you with me?
I'm totally there.
Okay. So we're flying to Detroit, but we're in Florida, right?
Okay.
So if I put, I'm flying from Detroit to San Francisco, but
Okay.
I'm sitting in Florida. Does this make sense? So I put in my phone, why don't I just freaking do it?
Yeah,
Because
try
I'm
it.
curious. All right.
If you can actually tag it on Facebook and it would still populate.
Yeah. So I'm going to put traveling. Can I show my screen, I wonder? Probably not. You know, I have screen mirror. You know, Apple is amazing, but it won't let me screen mirror to my Mac. Okay, never mind. So anyways, is anybody in chat giving answers? Because
Well, there's a couple about Lucifer.
oh boy.
Okay.
So it's check in, right?
Okay,
No,
Angela said your
activity.
location
Activity.
would show. Yeah, Angela said your location would show Florida, but you can post anywhere you're traveling.
Okay.
Which I think that's true because when I got my tattoo, I could post any tattoo parlor. When I was in
This
Denver.
is what's interesting. This says, all right, Facebook, it says traveling to. You can't lie about where you are.
So it does track you.
Well, I want to show you guys because
I want to see this.
Okay.
I don't really do this type of stuff.
all right, hold on.
I don't do this.
I
Girl,
don't do this. I gotta plug in my camera and then I'm gonna show y'all my phone, I guess.
You're gonna have to do it, Jay. Take
I
one for the team,
don't
Jay.
want to show myself because oh my god, I know. Just give me a second to set up the camera real quick, and then I'm gonna share.
But see, Tia said you can take out your location. Like I'm curious about.
Oh, if you turn off your location.
She said she just did it. If you take off your location.
If you take off your location, then what? It asks you where you are.
I don't know. Tia, what is it too, girl?
I don't know. Okay, so hold up. This is impromptu here.
Girl, you're doing like a little science project on
I know.
a live.
Screw it. Not doing anything else. All right. Hold on.
Maui girl said if your location is off, you can add your own.
But why would she add Goodyear? How would NA even know what Goodyear was? I mean,
But see, I'm thinking of Goodyear tires.
yeah, that doesn't even make sense. Okay, but let's look at this and then we'll see. Then we'll come to a conclusion. A conclusion. I think that's what Special must say is conclusion.
Special.
That's the conclusion.
Boom.
Boom. Ooh, I need a vacuum. Talk about boom. Okay. Well, this is what we're going to have to deal with. Sorry, folks. All right. So this is what it looks like. Can you see that or do I need to make it bigger?
I can see
I
it.
probably need to make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. Yeah, I need to vacuum. Okay. Shit. Well, and I have this big old light on, this bright white studio light, so makes it look even worse. Okay. Can you see?
Girl, your nails are pretty.
Thanks. I did them today, actually.
I love it. They're pretty.
Thank you. Okay. So we're going here. We're going to, can you see it or no?
I can see it.
It's too bright, isn't it?
I mean, I can see pictures.
You can't see text, though, can you?
I can't see any wording, girl. None.
No wording.
Yeah, I don't see no text. Okay, Tifa said, I see white. A lot of white.
How about now?
Okay, let me see. I don't see nothing. Oh, wait. It's a little blurry, but I see what's on your mind.
Maybe this isn't going to work after all. Cut. I tried. But anyways.
We're trying to debunk this.
I know, right? This is how stupid we are. All right, so if you go to traveling to.
Type in like you're going to travel to Denver from where you're at.
See.
Okay, Angela said turn your screen down.
Down?
Yeah, she said
Oh, like
down.
the brightness?
Yeah. I think.
Andrea, I'm going to kill you.
Bar 13 said dim the brightness, LOL.
Is that better?
Actually, it is. No, they're right. Girl, they're tech.
I mean,
like
can you
it.
still read it, though?
I mean, it's a little blurry. Yeah, I can see some of it.
How about now?
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I see screen monitoring. I see it. Yep.
Okay.
I can see it.
So it says traveling to.
Okay.
And then it says Madeira Beach, Tampa,
If you
Largo, all these places, right?
Yeah.
But if I put in, like, let's say I'm going to Denver. Why isn't it doing that? Why isn't it showing like NKs or NAs?
Can you
Is
turn
there
your,
a
is your
different way?
location on?
Mm-hmm. I think.
Turn your location. Yeah, turn your location off. I'm curious because some people were saying if you turn your location off, you can travel anywhere.
Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, location for Facebook. It says while using. So yeah, all right, so let me turn it off. And now go back.
Okay.
All right. So here we go.
Now say, I'm traveling to blank blank.
Traveling to Detroit. But it doesn't show me that map.
What's it show you?
Nothing. Just Jennifer Lynn is traveling to Detroit, Michigan. There's
From,
no...
You can't put it from?
It doesn't have that.
What?
Mm-mm. It's not doing that for me.
Oh, that's
It used
weird.
to. It really used to. Unless there's a different way to do this, but I don't think it's a check-in.
Andrea said, 1, check your text, and then 2, you have to hit post.
Oh, I have to actually post it?
Oh yeah, tarot readings by Roxy said you have to post shit.
Oh.
Post it.
Okay.
I think that's what they
well,
meant.
let's try it, I guess. But it's the traveling to and from, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I got that part right. Traveling to Detroit.
Octavia
Okay,
said
now
this
I
says
post
everything.
it. All right, I posted it.
Did it do it?
Yeah, there's a little map.
What?
It says, it just says I'm traveling there. It doesn't, I didn't let me put a city in.
You can't say where from.
It just says Jennifer Lynn is traveling to Detroit, Michigan. And then it shows Detroit. It doesn't show where I'm coming from. Now, I better delete that before my kids see it and go, what? Mom's flying up here?
Oh my God, please delete that.
Oh my God, it's deleted. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my location back on. And then I'm going to go back and do the same thing. But this time I'm going to Denver this time. Okay. So
Yeah, fly here, girl.
activities, traveling to Denver. Post. I'm traveling. It doesn't even give me the from, and I have my location on. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why, because I have it as location on when I use the app. So I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyways,
It just
there's
makes me
our little
wonder.
science project.
It makes me wonder though, like why on 2 different days, like was she out in the middle of nowhere in a sense and her shit turned off?
Well, what I'm
Is that a
wondering,
possibility?
how, like, I don't know. I mean,
I'm curious. Like, there's 2 different days, 2 different airports, 2 different locations. I don't know much about Arizona.
Me either.
So I'm curious if we have any Arizona people in the house.
What's the other airport named?
You've got Phoenix Goodyear Airport, and then you have Phoenix Sky Harbor. And Angela does make a good point.
What?
They could have flown in one airline and out the other. Like, did they have a connecting flight? It was like a little regional.
The 2 airports are only 24 minutes apart from each other. They're 23 miles away from one another.
Why would they stop just for that little? But okay. Actually, let me hold on now. When I flew to Sacramento, October of 2010, I flew from Denver to Phoenix, Sky Harbor, to Sacramento and back. I didn't stop at a little regional.
I don't know. I don't think they would land in between 2 airports 24 miles apart. That doesn't even make sense.
No.
So did they maybe fly in one airport and fly out on another? Maybe they got a different like it was cheaper, maybe? I mean, I thought Thrive paid for all this stuff, but
that's what I thought too. Like, you didn't have to mess with any of this.
So I guess the question is, I don't know what the question is. I guess I want to know why this was brought to my attention, and there must be something, there must be some kind of an explanation, Well,
I mean, the 2 different dates is kind of what I'm wondering. Why.
Is that the date that they flew there, the 10th? They flew out on Friday.
Yep.
That was when Chris took them, right?
Yep.
Did he drop off NA too?
That I don't know.
I don't know that either.
I don't know that one.
I wonder how she got, unless she drove there and her car was there. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to assume because I don't know.
Well, and I mean, the fact that she drove back, she would have parked her car in long term. So I think she actually drove herself. She had her own wheels. Possibly.
Okay, so then that brings us to what we just talked about in the video that everyone was up in arms about. Why was she in Thornton earlier? Because I looked it up. Arizona got rid of that whole changing time zone thing. They're they're strictly mountain time. So
so they are.
Yes, I looked it up. So they made it so it's all year round mountain time. So there was no time change on them coming home. They were traveling within the same time zone. Her GPS Life 360 app says she was in Thornton at 12:53. How is that possible?
That doesn't make sense. Yeah, no.
What I'd like to know is, and this is what Kim said that they're gonna get, is the original flight plans. What were those?
Yeah, I've always actually wanted to know the
flight
has
plan. That never come out, I wonder?
Yeah. Well, and the tickets. I mean, to prove.
Yeah, I mean, that's the last place she was before she went home. Wouldn't they have proof of that? Oh my God. One of my kids just texted me and said, "Are you in Denver?"
Just text him back and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to go see Dre."
It's Craig.
Franco.
No, LOL. I was testing something. He's probably like, "My mom is crazy."
We're just doing a little science project on YouTube. I mean, I'm not saying, 100%, but, some people are asking, why is this relevant? But I mean, it is weird. 2 different dates, 2 different areas. They're 24 minutes apart. That kind of does throw up a little bit of a red flag if you look at it from all aspects,
Hold on one second. I got to go grab something.
Okay.
Oh, the luggage tags. I don't have my headphones on, so I can't hear you, Dre, but the luggage tags we talked about last night, too. Not the luggage tags, but the fact that the Ruseks took her suitcase from Arizona like 3 days after Chris was arrested, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the luggage tags.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm back.
I am curious, though, Becky, Dom, I highly doubt that happened. Seems like folks are reaching. I just want to know why. I mean, the two different dates to me do kind of stand out. To me, they stand out.
She highly doubts what happened.
I'm thinking, because she said something about reaching, like this whole theory is a reach.
But how is it a reach when we're looking at her GPS?
That's what I want to know.
That's what, someone, look at Lorraine. N.A., or wait, no, not Lorraine. Where is it? KD. Supposedly N.A.'s son picked Shannon up.
See, I've actually read that.
I've never heard that before.
Long time ago, I read that. And I don't remember if it was Facebook or Reddit. It was one of the ones. And someone had said, I thought Nicholas N.A.'s son picked her up. And I'm like, wait, why would he be picking her up in the middle? You know what I mean? Like,
we don't think,
we
don't think she's involved in the crime. We're just wondering about these questions. This other thing too, right here. And the makeup bag. It was the makeup that was supposedly found on the sheets in the pillowcase. Why did they let the parents walk out with that?
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the makeup that she had on her face and she wore before she was murdered, wouldn't that be something they would want? Because they might have to compare it to the pillowcase to prove it was hers.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. Like, there's a lot of stuff I question.
And I thought that Chris took her to the airport. That's why he took Friday off.
Yeah.
People are saying Nikki drove her to the airport, but I thought he went and met Troy with the girls after taking her
car
to the airport.
Yep. And didn't Troy say that in the interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
No one is saying she's involved in any murders. Chill.
Okay, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
I just think she knows more.
Yeah. We're not saying like crucify.
Rosebud said, J is for justice. SW could have had keys to Nikki's car.
Whoa. That's a thought.
So what's weird is that Kim's theory was that they could have switched phones. That was something she threw out there. They could have switched phones, either her and this Karen person or her and NA. So what's weird is that this GPS, right? It pops up in Thornton. It's like the phone was off and then the phone was on.
Yeah. Yes.
So was the phone off until they got to Thornton and then the phone turned on and then they went to the airport and then they went to Frederick, right? I don't think, Katie, that theory, I don't think she was hammered. I don't know, though. God, I don't know. There's so many theories out there. Now there's like this murder-suicide theory. Have you heard this one?
No.
So they think that she was planning a murder-suicide. That's what this theory is. And
Shannon?
Yeah, and I haven't really heard anyone explain the theory. I've just heard like that might have been her plan.
Wow. I'm curious. I want to know everything. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person where it's like, I welcome all theories, even if to some people they seem outlandish. I want to hear it.
Yeah, I do too. I want to hear everything. I don't know these people. This is a true crime we're following. So stop, get real, get real. We're discussing. This is why I loved my Patreon chat last night.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was so nice. We didn't have to worry about
I'm
people.
so sad. I missed it.
I know, but we'll
sad.
do another one this week.
Yes, please.
Because it was really laid back. It was really open, and we weren't distracted by negativity. We were able to talk, and people were able to ask questions and listen to the answers, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. I loved the dialogue. So we'll do it again this week, you guys.
I really want to dive into that. I am curious. So why are people saying that we're reaching?
I don't know.
Like reaching for.
Can you tell us what we're reaching about? I mean,
I'm curious.
We're really intrigued by all of these theories.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually heard there was one theory that somebody had that.
Wait, hold that thought. Tammy, do you follow true crime other than the Watts case? That's my question. What did Andrea say?
The stars.
What does that mean?
Reaching for the stars.
Oh, keep on reaching for the stars.
That cracked me. I could laugh.
Kasem.
See?
Here's Summer. Jay, did you hear Sandy mentioning to NA about checking the knives in the kitchen? Yes, I sure did.
Yes.
And that is because that kid saw what he thought was blood on the landing of the stairs.
And then what did the cop say? It was like candle wax or something? Like, how do you know it's candle wax?
And why would candle wax be right there?
She didn't even have a table full of candles right there. It was an IKEA plant or a Target plant.
Yeah, there was like a vase.
Yeah. It was something that was, like a little floral arrangement or a plant arrangement. There was nothing that contributed to a candle being there. So how do we know 100% that was a candle?
Wait. People are talking about the suicide thing.
Wait, what? Not one single thing.
They're saying that that Chris lied to Troy. We're going to have to ask about this. Let me get a pen. I always have to make notes. They're saying that Chris lied to Troy. So I'll find out if he took Shannon to the airport. I'll see if I can find out. And then there was another one where KD said something. Where was it? KD said because SW was suicidal. That's why her mom asked check the knives, and the world found out she killed them. They couldn't get life insurance, and they covered it up. Sandy, they all knew that's the theory. I've never heard that theory.
Neither have I.
And I think that she said check the knives because that kid had seen what he thought was blood.
On the wall. Yes, on the baseboard.
Yes, Andrea, if you want to keep a list, that'd be great.
Troy lied too. I've heard a lot of people say that Troy lied in his interview. I've read a lot of comments about that. I'm always curious what people's thoughts are too on some of the interviews.
Mm-hmm. Just a thought. A car could have been with NA's son and he could have picked her up. Maybe he did an Uber charge. LOL. I don't know. I need to look at all of it in Patreon. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. So we asked, I think you asked if they had had sex that night, and Kim told you no.
I did. I've been wanting to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lady said, who keeps life insurance on your adult daughter and grandkids too? Who had life insurance other than Chris? Because I wasn't aware of any other life insurance. Did the Ruseks have a life insurance? Is that what you're saying? I don't know what you mean. Shit.
What was that?
Oh, just my camera tripod.
just my tripod.
Just my new camera. No big deal. Cynthia says Jay was SW beat up. No, she was not. She had very little wounds on her.
I've always wondered though, like the full dynamic between Chris and Shannon. You know, like were they in a sexless marriage? Because I kind of remember Chris saying something, and I might be wrong, but him saying before all of this, before Nikki even, that they were in a sexless marriage. So I don't know. I kind of wonder if things were not portrayed like they were on Facebook and all the social media sites, IG, Pinterest, all that stuff. Were they really in a happy marriage even before April? I always have asked that. That's one thing I want to ask him for Chris was, were they in a normal relationship in April going backwards to 2017?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Chris did say at one point, I don't remember which interview it was, that he said, like, for the past year, it had been a little volatile and not good.
And I want to re-ask that. You know what I mean? Now that the dust has settled, investigation's done, in a sense, I just want to know, like, what he is going to say. Because to me, it's like, you look back at the Christmas video, you look at their dynamic, how they communicate with each other, even body language. You could cut tension with a knife.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I just want to know, like, were they happy? Was Shannon happy? Was he happy? You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, from his account, it sounds like there was some things that were making him unhappy, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think he liked the whole, like, multi-level marketing thing. I think that was one thing. Because if you think about it, he said the past year, she had only been doing Thrive for 2 years. So it probably took her about a year to get into it, like, really heavy. And probably that last year was probably really heavy. I just feel like those types of multi-level marketing companies, they snow these people into thinking they're going to have a lifestyle that really isn't realistic.
Yeah. And they're going to hit it big once they hit that mark.
And they were in debt so bad. And someone just said something about the suicide, that there was, just a lot of stress over money and, having a new baby on the way, that maybe she would have felt that desperation. But I didn't get any of that from her text, that she was suicidal. But someone said she was in a suicide group on Facebook. But that could have been for any reason. I don't want to like speculate on that, because I mean, we're all in groups and we could forget that we're even in them. I have so many groups I've joined and I don't go back and leave them, So who knows when she joined this group or why?
Yeah. Well, and Bettina, I don't know who is talking on behalf of CW. We're just talking in theory. None of us are talking right now to CW. So there's that. I mean, I'm serious. Like, we're not sitting here saying we're speaking on, you know what? We are the attorneys for Chris Watts. We are speaking on behalf of him. We have everything signed. No.
Oh,
we're theorizing.
Jennifer Ham wants to call in.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Call in.
Cool. All right. Hold on. Let me
See,
put the
I
number
don't agree
up.
with the suicide group. Sorry. Somebody said a suicide group. Yeah, no, I don't see it.
You don't see what?
Her being suicidal.
Oh, no. I mean, I didn't see any signs of that, but
no.
That's a new one for me. All right, there you go. What's her name again? I'm not
Jennifer Ham.
Yeah, Jennifer Hambone.
Hambone.
Come on, call in, Hambone. I'm just playing.
You're good with the names, girl.
I always have
where...
nicknames. I know. Stupid. I nickname people.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I always have nicknames for everybody. I've always done that. It means I like you.
Yes.
Lorraine, you can give your opinion without calling us liars.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a link. I'm just putting the Zoom meeting ID. Type in on your app the meeting ID and the password. I mean, if anybody wants to call in, you can.
I'm curious about everybody's opinion. As long as it has intellectual value to it, I want to hear it. I just don't want to read "You're stupid" bye.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Don't do
that doesn't really have any intellectual saturation to it, so I don't get that. But
all right, here's a link. I don't know if that's gonna work, but that's all I can do. This is not StreamYards or whatever.
oh yeah, StreamYards with the link.
No, Jane. The link is on the screen above.
Right above.
She was also obviously unhappy in her marriage, and a lot of people don't want to bring another life into an already messed up sitch. Well, I think she was worried about finances too with another baby.
Oh yeah. Yeah, how do you financially be able to clothe and put diapers and
and especially in Colorado, as expensive as it is out there.
Mm-hmm.
She knew she couldn't stay there. So let's go back to what you were saying. The sexless marriage, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to April when she was at the restaurant, Mount Fuji, and she spoke with the lawyer. If you guys haven't heard the interview with the lawyer, that's a couple videos ago.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Really good. And I think the guy is spot on, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the thing that really captured me with this guy is the fact that he was even saying, like, I'm from North Carolina. And he's like, I told her I was from Charlotte. Well, she owned a house in Charlotte. You know what I mean? It's like, there's that connection. It's a small world. Yep. And he was so enthusiastic about that. Like, what did he have to gain from that? Nothing. He's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
It was so neat to hear his side,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Sally says, a profiler I know thinks he killed her while she was asleep. She certainly did not lie there and die without a fight. She would have protected her girls. Okay.
It's an interesting theory.
Bex. Is that video with the lawyer on Jay's channel? Yes. It's a couple videos ago. RC is for Jay. RC says my feet are naked. What
I saw that.
the heck?
With the salt.
I put the link in. Where'd Hambone go?
Hambone.
She called in. It beeped and then she hung up.
Oh no.
She knew he would get the kids because of the spammer doctrine. Oh, because he would say, the password's 2825. Oh, why did RC get deleted?
I don't know.
Because he said my feet are naked. RC's cool.
That might be an accident.
Oh my gosh, it's 2825.
I mean, there is a lot to that night that a lot of people want to know. Like, was she asleep? Was she awake?
Oh, I got to explain something to you.
Okay.
So Dave asked Kim last night about NK's ping and Frederick. And she said that Watts and NK used to meet in the mornings for booty calls. And she thinks that maybe she was trying to meet up with him
to get
for a booty call. And she said that it seemed like maybe it seemed like to Chris, when he looked at her phone records, he's gotten some of the discovery to look at it. And he was surprised at how often she talked to Jim. He was like, she's talking to Jim right after she talks to me, or vice versa.
So he thought he got played.
And he thinks that she was sleeping with Jim. Yeah.
He got played. Oh my gosh. I mean, it makes sense. The Jim was kind of
Jim
weird.
could have also been a good guy friend who she went to and said, what does this mean? Like, what should I do? Like, from a guy's perspective. It could go either way.
That is true. That is true. Some women are more closer to men than they are women. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, if
this is my guy
she
friend.
was trying to hook up with Chris. Oh, Jennifer Ham's here. Okay. If she was trying to hook up with Chris and he wasn't responding and Shannon had just gotten home, according, as far as Kessinger knew, maybe she was like, well, what's he doing? Where is he? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was kind of what she threw out there. So,
it's plausible, man. It's plausible.
Jennifer Ham.
Hi, Jennifer Ham.
Are you connected to audio? Because we can't hear you. She's not. You got to leave and come back, and you got to connect to computer audio. All right, we have another caller. We have iPhone.
Hi, iPhone.
Hang on, let me let him in.
Okay.
Okay, now you can talk to iPhone.
Hi, iPhone.
iPhone doesn't look to have their audio on either. Okay, iPhone, you've got to hang up, call back in, and connect to computer audio so we can hear you.
Oh my God, Jay.
Yes.
Guess who's in chat right now?
Who?
Casey.
Where?
Our girl Casey.
Oh, hi, Casey.
She said, look at my girls up there looking all beautiful and stuff.
Aw, I miss Casey.
I do too. I love Casey.
I do too.
Girl. Okay, so someone said morning booty call makes sense. I never in a million years would have put the two and two together about them meeting up in the morning.
Me either.
But see, I'm always sitting there like, oh, what is MK up to?
Oh, Amina. Amina says, yes, she wanted him to prove he was at the oil field and not at home.
Ooh.
We know she was a little jealous. We could tell that she was a little jealous.
Yeah.
Amina said, thank you
but
for
a lot
covering.
of this comes to fruition, though. You know what I mean? What did Arcee say?
This is war. But of all days, her phone pinged then. I agree.
Yeah.
But then again, you have, she's listening while watching the fights.
Oh.
But then again, you have, a mistress who knows that the wife is coming home, and Chris tried to pacify her the night before and said, it's not going to be the same, but I'll try to see you as much as I can. And, being a woman, I mean, I think if you're having an affair with a married man and he's not divorced yet, that you might be just a little bit jealous of the wife. I mean, I think that's normal. Now, if they were divorced, I would say if she was jealous of Shannon, that would be weird. But if they're still married and you're sneaking around, obviously, she's a little insecure. She's going to be a little insecure about the relationship because it's not a secure relationship. So it makes sense that she may cruise by. She may wonder if he's really at the oil field or at home. Is he having makeup sex with his wife? I mean, all these things as a mistress would go through your head. There's no way she could know 100% that she had Chris's heart because he was still in the marital home. She even said that. She even said, like, she didn't feel right in the house, like with all the family photos and stuff. Like, she felt like she shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I see that. I will say, Maui Girl does bring up a good point. Why 6:30? That is weird. It is weird right around that time. That is weird. But
it is.
At the same time, though, I have to put myself in the shoes of like, okay, what if I was sleeping? And I don't want to do that because I would never. But if you were, think about it. Like, I'd be pissed off too. I'd be like, all right, are you done yet? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, are you done with the marriage? I would be kind of funny too.
Yes, I would be too. Absolutely. I mean, how can you be comfortable and feel, 100% secure in a relationship where you're cheating? You can't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jennifer Ham is back. Jennifer, you have to unmute and then we'll be good to go.
Oh yeah, she's on mute. She's muted.
Sorry. Hello.
Hey, we can hear you.
Yes.
That's so
Hey.
awesome.
How can you be comfortable
Oh, she's got a mute.
Yeah, you got to mute your YouTube.
you're in a relationship where you're cheating?
Oh my God.
Can I just
Yeah, Jennifer
tell you
can.
one thing?
Wait, Jennifer, can you mute?
Yeah.
Can you mute your YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
Hey, we can hear you.
She's
how do I mute YouTube?
Oh, she's got
just
a mute.
pause
Yeah,
it. Just pause it.
You're in a relationship where you're cheating.
Oh goodness, I can hear you.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just pause it.
Hold on, I've got you. I've got you. Yep. There it goes.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Hi, hi,
There we
Jennifer.
go. Hey.
So I just want to say something. So my husband committed suicide in well, it'll be 3 years on January 7th.
I'm sorry.
Aw,
No,
me too.
and it's the first thing that I always tell people is treat your husband with respect,
Amen.
because I didn't.
Mm.
And I was totally Shannon.
What?
Totally.
Wow.
I was, and I can completely,
But you don't blame yourself for this, do you, Jennifer?
I mean, a little bit,
Aww.
but that's okay
sad.
too. Because I knew him 20 years. You know, we were best friends, and then we weren't. But I
Wow.
gotta tell you, when you come down on a man, like, oh God, maybe I did, maybe Shanann did.
Mm.
There is going to be consequences. I mean, they are going to react, and unfortunately, my husband died. You know, I wanted the nice house, and I wanted the nice things, and we had our kid, and then I wanted to have another kid, and he said no. And I get why he said no, because it was a shit show. Everything was a shit show, you know.
Jennifer, can
So-
I just say, like, you are so brave to
Yeah.
just come on here and, like, admit that?
Oh, I definitely admit that. I was so hard on him.
What kind of things, like, what did you see as parallels in this case with their relationship that, you know, kind of compared to yours?
It hurts so bad sometimes to listen to it, because I see my mother-in-law and how she hated me when my husband committed suicide, and how
Oh my God.
everyone hated me. Everyone hated me. It wasn't just her, it was his friends, it was not my friends, of course, and then his whole family. You know, and that was especially difficult, because that's hard. I have a 4-year-old that is his.
Wow.
And everyone wants to basically dismiss me, but I get why. And I understand why. I'm old enough and smart enough to know that I thought that we were in this perfect relationship, and I was pushing him to be the best. I thought behind every good man is a good woman. But I pushed him and pushed him and pushed him to the point where he was done. He was done.
When did you notice? I mean, how long were you guys married? I'm just curious how long your marriage was.
Oh gosh. So we were in college together in 2001. We were together a year. And then he went off with another girl. And then I went off with another guy. And then around 2012, we split up from our significant others, and we were like, yeah, we really didn't like them anyway. We just like each other. And gosh, he just moved his stuff in right away, and we just became a couple right away again. He wasn't working. I wasn't either. So it was difficult. And then he started working again, and then I was a stay-at-home dog mom, and then all of a sudden I was pregnant. He had a kid, and
Did you feel like things changed when you had a baby?
absolutely,
Yeah.
all changed. It was terrible. I mean, I never want to blame my kid for any of it, but it really did make a huge change. But I did push him so hard. I remember pushing him too.
As far as what though? Like what do you mean specifically that you feel you pushed too much for, or whatever you're meaning by that?
Well, when so he wasn't working, right? And he wasn't working because he blew a hot like a BA on his job because he was a smoke tester.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out and tested like I don't know, serious stacks all over for pollution and stuff, and they would test you when you go in. So he partied too hard one night and had like a BA of 1.5 or something. It was terrible. And so they said, you got to take 6 months off. And then that's when he came back in my life.
Oh, wow.
But I get it. Those smoke testers, they all go out and they drink. It's a guy's world, that's what they do. And so it didn't matter really to me. I said, well, in 6 months, you'll get your job back. And he did. And then he was offered a job in Amarillo, Texas. And it was like, God, $100,000 a year. And I said, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we did, but he was so unhappy every day. Like unhappy. He didn't have a snowboarding. He didn't have anything going on. Eventually he stopped wanting to wake up for work. I would go in there and push him and push him and push him. Get the fuck up. Get the fuck up. You don't understand. Like, my kid and I will not eat if you don't get the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And I went after him too hard.
Can I ask you, just since you did, you are being open, what do you think you could have done differently? Because throughout this case, like I've said, there's a lot to be learned from this case. And
I mean, I really, truly believe that I feel like Shannon was treating her husband like I treated my husband.
Uh-huh.
I really do. One thing that you have to understand is that men need respect too. And they have to, women, I don't think women get it sometimes. I think we want to be saved or we want to be taken care of, but at the end of the day, we need to take care of our men too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm raising a son who's 4 years old, and I don't want him to ever meet a wife like me.
Aww.
Or like Shannon, ever. I want them to have a powerful presence in this world without being demeaned all the time. And men have lost this type of security within themselves because women have kind of taken over.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. And I think that so many families now are working, both parents work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times women are making more money than the men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's changed the dynamic. It's not Leave It to Beaver days anymore. And I wish that it was a little more Leave It to Beaver, because
I agree.
We need our men back. We need our men back. And what we did was great, and we love that. But come on, we miss it. We do. We miss the beard. And I missed my husband, and I think that I demeaned him to the point because I was trying to have a facade that he just really couldn't handle it anymore. No. It just ended. He hung himself in our backyard. It just, he
Oh
could
my
not
God.
do it anymore. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, and it's been 3 years, but yeah, I think that there should have been someone that told me or something that woke me up to the fact that you just can't keep berating a man to the point where he's done.
Do you feel like your in-laws tried to get like through to you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. They did. Hmm. And
You know,
I
this
just thought,
happens a lot, Jennifer. Actually, there was a case that happened right by where I grew up, and it was, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Stephen Grant. He was like a stay-at-home dad, and his wife was like an exec for this corporation. She traveled to Puerto Rico. She ran the office in Puerto Rico. So she was gone a lot, and then they hired a nanny to help out. And hubby started sleeping with the nanny, and he ultimately killed his wife Tara, dismembered her, and hid her in a metro park by our house, like a beach picnic area type place. Yes. And you know, there's so many of these cases. Like someone just said in
my
chat,
hubby
like
found a unicorn in rehab.
what's that?
I sent him to rehab because he was drinking too much, and he found a unicorn, which is kind of like you, black hair and blue eyes.
Mm.
Yeah, no, he really loved that. No, but he was really innocent. He just, I found that out after he died.
So what are your, I mean, has this been hard for you to watch this case? I mean, how did you find out about the Watts case?
Okay, so I have visited the Watts house, and I found out immediately when I saw him on TV. I knew he was guilty immediately, not of killing anybody, but something was wrong. And I've got to tell you right now, I truly believe that when he said, I did not kill those kids, it resonated with me. I don't think he did.
So you don't think he killed the kids? You think he killed Shannon?
Yeah.
Because she killed the kids, or somebody else? Do you think there was someone else involved that killed the kids?
No, I don't think it was an immediate response for him to kill the kids. Even then, like, I really agree kind of with Tim a little bit. I'm saying, like, he was in the basement. He was sleeping in the basement. My husband slept in the living room. I get that. I don't know if he slept with my best friend or not. I'll never know. You know, like, I have those questions about my personal life. I know in this situation that she came home, she had alcohol in her system, which I know a lot of pregnant women do. When I was pregnant, oh my God, I had all these other pregnant women saying, it's okay to have 5 glasses of wine. It's no big deal. It made me nauseous. But I knew a lot of women like that would definitely have my back if I went out and got drunk and they were just going to have my back because I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And this is what Kim's theory is. I'm not saying I personally subscribe to that theory.
Well, she kind of screwed up. Kim did screw up
on what?
Because she said that, oh God, that Chris Watts had nothing to do with it. No, he did. He had everything to do with it. He had everything to do with it. He was dating the mistress. He was doing what he was doing. It
was all his fault to him. I mean, because if he didn't have the affair, let's face it, none of this would have happened.
Exactly. But I kind of feel sorry for Chris Watts. I do. Knowing the woman he was with, because I am the same woman. I'm the same type of woman, or I was. And I feel responsible for my husband's death.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel responsible. I personally don't think you're responsible for his actions of doing that. I don't think there's any way for you to ever be responsible for that. That was his decision, you know.
I get that. I totally get that. And I'm not saying I feel sorry for myself in any way at all. Or I want people to say I feel sorry for you. I'm just saying I know my actions contributed to something that is horrible. And I'm okay with that. I can take responsibility for that because I'm an adult and a strong woman. So it's fine. But nobody needs to say, oh, no, that's not how it happened. But it kind of did. It kind of a little bit did. So we can't fake it, right?
Well, I think you have a profound message, and I think that we all need to take a look at how we treat not only our spouses, but one another as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I will never treat a man like that again.
Right. I mean, look at how people treat each other in these chats, let alone.
Oh, they're disgusting.
It really is. It really is. And you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what the person's story is on the other end. That's why I just say be nice, be kind to one another, and be respectful. So I just want you to know that there's no way that you could ever be responsible for what your husband did. And I'm truly sorry, but I'm just taken back by your just brutal honesty, you know?
No.
It's not easy to admit your mistakes to this level. What have you done? I mean, you sound like you are on a good road to healing. Have you done anything that has helped you to heal? Have you written in journals or books or, you know, if anything like that to kind of with this healing process? It sounds like
I'd love to. So immediately after he died, I took my mattress out to the tree that he hung himself at, and I slept there. It was cold. And I slept there for a couple of days, and then I moved back to my family's farm, which is corn, wheat, beans and sunflower seeds and cattle. And then I started talking to a psychic, actually, which was weird. And I cried a lot. I ended up in a psych ward for a little bit, for a couple days or so, because I was a mess.
But you've come so far from that time. It sounds like, you know.
Yeah. No, he's still there. He's still here. I love him so much. It will never go away. But what I did to him in those last few days of just being a very horrible wife, I'll never forget. And I'll never do that again. Not the last few days, I guess, as he was. I wanted the tree. I wanted the couch. I wanted the house. I wanted this really big house.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get it. And then I wanted to show everybody how well we were doing and how great everything was. And how my son was. And
appearances meant everything.
Exactly. And now I'm so beaten up that I can't even believe that that's where my mind was. I am so beaten to the core that I can't even believe I did that. And I am a better person for it. God, and I don't even cry because I've cried so much. I know. And so I know what Chris was going through. I exactly know what Chris was going through with her. And it doesn't make her a bad person. It just makes her insecure. And it makes her, feeling like I really just want everyone to know that we're great, and I get that feeling. And I know how Chris feels. And I know how it all feels. And it's terrible. And there's a part of me that doesn't want Chris to be locked up for the rest of his life. I think maybe 20 years is good. But there is an innocence about him. And I believe that innocence, even though he put the girls in the tanks and that was so disgusting and awful, I think he was numb, like numb. And when you're numb, things are horrible.
Yeah.
And I feel like she did what I did to my husband, was berate him and hurt him, and not hurt him meaningfully, but like say, get up, come on, you got to go to work. Come on, what are you? Like, let's go. Or I've had the kids all day. Like you need to really like fix yourself. Like there are ways of speaking to people that you accidentally do.
Yeah.
That hurt people.
I think we've all done it.
Yeah, we've all
done it. You're not alone. You're not alone.
And you can hurt somebody to the core where they will break. And when they break, it's not up to you. It's not up to anybody. It's the breaking point that decides where that goes. And fortunately for me, my husband committed suicide and just took us all out. Which I wouldn't have blamed him for, because I was too hard on him. And I believe that you can be too hard on people. I'm almost 40 years old. There's a difference between being a wife, a mother, and a freaking Nazi.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, no, it is.
Well, when did you first start following this case?
Right when it happened. I live in Colorado Springs.
Oh, you live in Colorado?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been to the house.
So did you follow the Kelsey Barrett case as well?
I did.
Yeah.
No, not as in depth. No.
No, not as in depth.
No, not as in depth. I mean, she's there. She's somewhere.
Yeah.
She's probably burnt.
Yeah, very, very sad. And how that, kind of piggybacked on the Watts case was pretty crazy.
Well, in Colorado Springs, so you have to understand, like, there is so many people that disappear all the time. And this is something that you should probably add to your channel too, is I come from a very small town called Haxton, Colorado. And there's a girl that's missing out of Holyoke, Colorado, which is when like 200 people. And she's been missing a long time too. I can send you her information. But we have to understand that Pueblo and Colorado Springs are huge for human trafficking. People disappear every day. I mean, like all the time. It's sex trafficking all the time.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that. We've covered a couple cases out of Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
We just had someone else call in. Sam, you can go ahead and unmute. Sam, bada. Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada boom, bada bing.
I had to say it.
Oh, we're unmuted. Hi, Sam.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a man.
Wow.
Hi, Sam.
We can hear you. I wasn't expecting that.
Hi, Sam.
There's a microphone going on.
Look, I just found your channel, and I'm sitting here listening to Jennifer Ham, and it's fascinating what you just said about 10 minutes ago about the man that hung himself in the backyard. I narrated these 3 audiobooks. I'm about to narrate the 4th one from this guy, Rollo Tomassi, who started writing more than 20 years ago online. It became a blog called The Rational Male. But his brother-in-law hung himself from a tree more than 20 years ago. And it was because of, he was so doting over his wife, gave her everything, did everything for the kids, busted his rear to give them everything. And she ended up cheating on him, and she told him she wanted to get a divorce and all that. And so he hung himself from a tree behind the house that was the dream home that he had built for them to retire in.
Wow.
And so just listening to you saying what you said, this really resonates because so the author, Rollo Tomassi, and I'm just the narrator, but we both get messages from men every week, hundreds of them a month, actually, from men who had planned the date of their suicide, who had scheduled their own suicides. But because they have read his books or listened to the audiobooks, they stop their own suicides and turn their lives around. But the kind of things that you're saying, Jennifer Ham, this is the kind of thing that will save men from hanging themselves.
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. I just really do.
Wow.
I believe that we really don't understand what it's like to be a male, and how could we? And at the same time, you guys have to provide for dinners, for lunches, for these women, and as my husband, for me. And what kind of pressure is that? That's a horrible pressure. And I feel absolutely sad that I never got it until after my husband was dead. And I have a son. And I have to raise my son and tell him, women will want you to pay for everything. And then that's a horrible way to think of things, because I'm everything hurts. It just hurts. His death hurt. Him wanting to be this perfect man hurt. And I get it now. And he's not just a man who should have provided for his family. He was a person. He was a person who needed to be loved and who needed to be sheltered and who needed someone to take care of him also. And I think that is a forgotten thing. It is a forgotten thing.
Yes, absolutely. And most men aren't taught this. I mean, most guys in the U.S. especially are reared to be nice guys. And we are reared to be, doting over the woman that we love. And we're not taught how to be men. We're not taught how to act like a man. And so as a result, especially after this whole COVID nonsense, men are killing themselves in droves. Before COVID, the suicide rate in the U.S., men to women, was 5-1. And now it's 10-1.
Wow.
Because the men are losing their jobs and women are
That's
leaving
a
them.
loss of manlyhood, right?
Yeah.
You lose
Yeah.
your manlyhood.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Like a lot of women are making more than men too.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, it's the man's fault. We don't blame women, and we're not angry at women for this. It's men's fault for not becoming men. And all my life, I was reared in Alabama, but I moved to Los Angeles to be a voice actor. And I was even homeless for a good while trying to make it. And finally, I got a lot of opportunities. But I didn't use my real name all those years in doing all this voice acting work. And this narrating the Rational Male audiobooks is the first time I've used my real name, because I'm actually proud of what I've done, because it's actually keeping men from killing themselves, literally.
I
Mhm.
hope so. I really do. God, if only everyone knew what these men were actually going through. I think this is a hidden type of hardship that nobody's talking about. And I think people need to start talking about it. Men are struggling. Men are having a hard time emotionally.
I'm just amazed that I just happened upon this live stream. I'm just blown away that I'm just looking on YouTube. I'm sitting in a hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm just
Well, leave it to Jay.
I know, right?
this is crazy.
Well, Sam, I'm so glad that you called in. This is really cool.
I'm glad for both of you guys.
Yeah,
to call
I
in.
mean,
Jen,
I'm
Jennifer.
interested to hear more about what this Rational Male. I've heard of it. I've seen it on Apple.
Yeah.
But I would be curious, Sam, to hear more about that and kind of what the mission is behind it.
Well, it's just the Rational Male blog has about 7 million guys that read it regularly. And the blog, he came out with a blog post once every week, but now he's been so busy writing his 4th book. And this guy is a self-made multimillionaire. He started with nothing. His wife is crazy in love with him. They have a daughter who's just finished college. You know, I mean, they're like the perfect couple. And, you know, they're both 50, but they both look like supermodels. So the guy, I mean, every woman should be getting the Rational Male or the audiobook. Look, the audiobook, it sells more every month. I don't need any money. I'm not trying to promote it. I just have been amazed because every month we have hundreds of guys reaching out to us, thanking us because they stopped their own suicide. And Jennifer, I am absolutely amazed that you have been so bold as to come out and, you know, be honest about, you know, the pressures that a man faces. And I don't think it's your fault that he hung himself, but I'm thankful that you've come out and just said, you know, this is the struggle that a man is dealing with.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Watts, there's no excuse for what he did.
There's no excuse for what he did, but I think that he might have been pushed. And I do think he was pushed. And I do completely, I mean, I see myself in Shannon, and I don't like it. And I see Chris Watts and my husband, and I'm very, very sorry for some of the things that my husband actually did. You know, he did cheat on me. But I knew him 20 years. You know, we were best friends. I know that I pushed him too hard. I know I did that. Nobody could talk me out of that. Nobody could ever talk me out of that. I know that I pushed him. And I pushed him too hard.
Wow.
And I'll regret it until the day I die. And raising my son, I will never put that pressure on him. I will never, ever let a woman put that pressure on him. And I will stick to my bones on this and make sure that my son doesn't meet a woman like me.
Oh.
And I've changed a lot. And I'm happy for it. It's fine. It really is. It's not something to cry about. It's not something to get angry or sad. It's just the knowledge of it.
Yeah.
Really made the difference.
It takes a lot of courage to admit what you've admitted.
Yeah.
I won't do it again. And we shall probably buy that book, Sam.
I know.
Well, I mean, seriously, the Rational Male audiobooks have transformed tens of thousands of men's lives, and the books themselves, millions of men's lives. And I think the author, Rollo Tomassi, sent a message to him. I think he's actually watching and listening. And I'm about to send him the ID for this Zoom to see if he wants to get on here.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and send it to him. Jennifer's like, wow, I didn't expect this tonight.
You really didn't. It's only on Jay.
I know, right? I know. Only on Jay's lives.
All I do is watch her when I'm like cooking dinner and doing the dishes, and now all of a sudden.
Okay. I just have one request from Sam. I need an intro.
Yes.
An intro.
Whatever you want.
That voice.
Whatever you want.
Oh my gosh.
I love his voice, but I have to ask, is that a puppy nearby?
Yes.
Is that a puppy?
Oh, it's a support animal.
Oh,
So Oliver is actually a legitimate service dog who has more than $20,000 in training.
Oh my
His trainer is
goodness.
Stephanie O'Brien, and her website is doggenius.net. And she's Dog Genius Canine Education on Facebook. But she only trains 2 service dogs a year. I was killed by a hit and run driver in 2014. So I had to learn how to do everything all over again. I was in inpatient care for 2 years.
Wow.
And so this author that I'm talking about, Rollo Tomassi, actually saved my life because Hollywood had given up on me. So I was doing pretty well in the industry, but they gave up on me and I had to start all over. And so narrating his audiobooks actually saved me from going bankrupt and paid what insurance wouldn't cover. So the audiobooks selling so well have rebuilt my abilities, my life, and now I have more work narrating stuff than I can handle.
Wow. You are truly blessed.
Can I just say something, Jay? I think that instead of narrating other books, I think he needs to write his own and narrate his own story because it sounds like he's got an incredible story himself.
I agree, Kim. I agree. Sam, I don't know if you're familiar with Kim. She's the one that's revealing all the Chris Watts evidence. And have you seen any of those videos?
I haven't seen Kim's videos. The way that I got here, so there's this guy, Jim Can't Swim, JCS Criminal Psychology.
Heard of him, yeah.
And he stopped making videos. I've been communicating with him, and he's about to start making more. But that led me to this dude, Mike, from the YouTube channel That Chapter. And so I watched his video on Chris Watts, and somehow you came up in the feed after watching the Chris Watts video from That Chapter. This young guy in Ireland named Mike.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it looks like there's a lot more evidence that we don't know about from Chris Watts, which you're revealing.
Sure is. There sure is.
It sounds like this. I mean, I don't know if it was tonight, but
God, Kim, I didn't even know you were on here.
She just joined.
Sorry.
So y'all are showing stuff where it looked like that Nicole and Shannon were in Phoenix, flying out 2 days before they actually flew out.
Well, there's all kinds of stuff that doesn't make sense when it comes to this case. But yeah, that's I think that's an image that I sent to Jay earlier, and I believe she put it up there tonight.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why you sent it. I was like trying to figure out what am I deciphering here.
No, it was from your podcast that you did in your own channel. Yeah.
Yeah, and there it shows the 10th they're coming home from Arizona, And then it shows also on the 12th, they're coming home from Arizona. Interesting.
Oh, hey, Sam.
I put Ronnie's audios up. Jay, have you heard those yet?
No, I haven't. You put them up tonight?
Yeah, I put 2. It's like probably maybe close to 20 minutes of just talking with Ronnie about a lot of the stuff that's happened the last 2 years. It's pretty interesting. I'm just thankful that he was able to finally, or willing to, I guess, finally speak, because, you know, he's definitely does not speak a lot. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear that. Ronnie's been pretty quiet.
Yeah. I mean, he's a quiet guy. Yeah. So getting him to speak out at all and to share his feelings and experiences and just some like the behind the scenes truths of things that they've gone through this last 2 years was pretty incredible. I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear that.
Me either. Kim, I want to introduce you to Jennifer. I know you weren't listening before you called in. Kim kind of called into this blindly. I sent her the meeting number before I went live and said, I'm going live if you're interested, you know? So she kind of hopped on in the middle of this, but Jennifer called in to share her story. And basically, she says that she was like Shannon to her husband, but ultimately her husband took his own life. And she's learned a lot from this experience, and she was sharing it like raw with us. And Sam, Sam does audio books, and he did the audiobooks for what is it called? I had a mind blank.
It's called The Rational Male by Rollo.
The Rational Male.
The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi.
Well, I'll have to go back and listen to this live, because I was, as she was asking if I listened to it, I'm like, no. And I was like, but when I came in, I'm like, wow, this does sound deep tonight. So I look forward to going back and listening to it.
We're not caring about men anymore. We're not. We care about, the poor woman, but we are not caring about the men anymore. And the scary thing is that has a huge impact on our men, and it's sad.
Absolutely, it does.
Sorry.
So the story, Sam, that you were telling us about, where did that take place?
What's that?
The story you were telling us about the husband that took his own life.
Oh, the author. That was in Northern California. The author doesn't actually reveal the location just to protect the privacy. But it was in Northern California in a resort area where he had built the dream home that she said she wanted. So
wow.
Yeah, he gave her everything and the kids everything. And so she left him for this decamillionaire. And the kids ended up working. So after he died, I think it was within 6 months after he died, she sold that house that he had built for them to retire in. And she bought one of the most expensive Porsches that they make. And, you know, she had a boob job done. And now the kids are actually executives of the major corporation that the man owns.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty big.
Well, did you guys ever hear about Hemingway's wife?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, well, you should. So when Hemingway dated the woman, Hemingway went to do this whole war thing with this woman. I forget. It might have been, no, it wasn't World War II. No, maybe it was. Yeah. And he got back home, and his wife, since he was cheating on her, decided that she would spend all this money to put into this pool in Key West. And she actually put the last penny of his into a casing right next to the pool and said, you know what? No, it was last dime. And said, you know what? I took your last dime for cheating on me. I mean, I think the story that you told, I think that women kind of do that. And so do men sometimes. they get mad.
Yeah.
I just am curious, Jennifer, you said that it changed drastically when you guys had your son. Did you feel like you weren't as demanding like before you had children?
Okay, so I was beautiful. I mean, I had been to the Playboy Mansion. I was gorgeous. I'm gorgeous. You look me up on Facebook, you think I was gorgeous. When I got pregnant, I've always struggled with anxiety and panic disorder. I had a struggle with that while I was pregnant. I couldn't take any of my medication. And when I had the baby, Grayson, my son, my wonderful son, I dealt with extreme postpartum, like you wouldn't believe. Like the most depths of hell was in me about postpartum. I had an awful time. I went and camped out in my car a lot. He took care of the baby. I mean, he was a saint. And then once my hormones got back together, and I could take my son again and be capable of raising my son and loving him, he disappeared. He just went off. He just was not there anymore. I gained about 75 pounds. And he started drinking a lot. And it just changed. It changed. It all changed. He didn't want me anymore. I don't think he knew what it was like to deal with all that, you know. Yet I was still portraying this wonderful life, but I was a mess. I was a mess.
Crazy.
And I regret being mean to him. You know, I was mean to him. And I used to call him the same names too, like on that video of him and Shannon about the Christmas thing with him coming out and being Santa Claus. I'd be like, what a moron. Why couldn't he just get it? Why couldn't he just get it?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that video. That video was, to me, I remember the first time I saw it, and it was very cringy to watch. It was,
yeah.
There was obvious tension. I felt at that time even.
I did too. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I've been through a couple failed marriages. And I hear what Jennifer's saying. To me, you don't walk in front of your husband in control. You don't walk behind your husband in fear. You walk next to him because it's equal playing. You know what I mean? And I see where you're coming from, because it's like, I've seen other women treat their husbands that way. And it's like, my God, like a union is 100%. You know, some people say, oh, it takes 50-50 for a marriage. I don't agree with that. It's 100%. Yeah. It's got to be 100% commitment, compassion, and communication. That's what makes up a marriage. And I feel like sometimes, I feel like women sometimes see it in a different light, where it's like, oh, well, because I can have a child, I'm on a higher field than you are. And it's sad because that's not how men should be treated.
No, I think that we've been very demeaning to men for a long time.
I agree.
And I think that this needs to change. We need to get our men back. We do.
But the men have to be men.
Yeah.
Yes. And the problem is that nobody is teaching them how to be men.
Right.
And that is why I have put my name and reputation on the line to narrate these books, these audiobooks that are very controversial. And, you know, there are a lot of men and women that are against these books that I've narrated. But the fact is that these books are turning men into men. And we are not fans of this whole pickup artist nonsense. This is not what these books are about. But it's teaching men how to be the men that their dad did not teach them how to be. And so Rollo Tomassi, the author of The Rational Male, that has saved probably up to 50,000 males that have stopped their own suicide now. It looks like he's just popped up in the Zoom.
He did. He just has to unmute his mic and he should be good to go.
Sorry, my bad. I don't use Zoom that much.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, Rollo, how you doing?
Hi,
Good.
Rollo.
How are you? You'll have to forgive me. I'm not familiar with like any of you.
That's okay. That's okay. My name's Jay, and this is my channel, and my co-host is Dre.
Hi, Rollo.
Jay always has the biggest news.
And then we have Kim, and she is working with Chris Watts on his case. And then we have Jennifer Ham, who called in and shared her story about her husband.
Oh, cool. Yeah, sorry, I would have come on a little bit earlier. It is Thanksgiving weekend, and I have family stuff that's going on.
Oh, no problem.
And I pop in just for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for joining.
Sure. I caught a little bit of what you guys have been talking about here with respect to, I don't know enough about you, so forgive me if I kind of step on people's feet or toes or anything like that, because I don't know, I'm not familiar enough with anybody on the show. So, but like I did just hear you guys talking about marriages and how they should be equal partnerships. And I'm of the opinion that that is incorrect. I think that a man should lead the marriage and the woman should be at least, I'm not saying subservient or in any way like his slave or anything like that, but a man needs to lead the marriage. He needs to be the dominant partner in that marriage. And that's what women expect of that guy. And I think that we do ourselves a very great disservice when we start talking about things like egalitarian equalism from within marriages. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems. If you want to see one of the I would say the most major contributor to divorce rate right now, which is, by the way, I should clarify some things here too, because I've been doing a lot of statistical stuff for my fourth book, which is should be coming out around the beginning or the middle of this month. And in those statistics, I did a lot of research on marriage and the reasons for divorce, the statistical rise in divorce right after the sexual revolution, which came just post birth control, after the pill, I call it HBC because it's a hormonal birth control, and HBC unilaterally for women. So when we gave women the pill, that was at that point that you see all of these statistics for no fault divorce.
Wait. Hold on. Get to know your host first.
Okay. Sure.
Wait, what are you saying, Jennifer? I'm open to what he's saying.
Really?
No,
I do want to hear.
No, I want to hear him out. I want to hear him
out.
I want to hear what he's got to say for sure.
Well, let's look at what happened.
Talking about birth control, about what happened with birth control.
Well, I think he's getting to the point where he's talking about more of like where the women's lib came in and
I
think we should hear him out and give him a chance.
Hear me out here, because the reason why I call my books The Rational Male is because what I do is I stick to objective facts and the things that are happening, and I do basically statistics. And so anyways, prior to the sexual revolution, if you look at where hormonal birth control came in right around 65, somewhere around there, let's just round it off. Right after that, we had the free love movement. We had the
actually 1954.
Well, but you know what I'm talking about when it comes to the sexual revolution, which happened right around 1965. And I can point that out because right around that time, we see a rise in divorce and we see a declination in marriage, to the point right now where in 2020, marriage rates are at their all-time lowest So at all-time lowest since they started recording marriage rates in the United States. So when you look at if you look at the stats of what has happened since right around 1965, and that's really where I peg it, where the sexual revolution began, that's when you see this sort of handing over of reproduction to women from men. And it was at that point that men just said, hey, you know what? We can have sex without having to worry about pregnancy now. And that changed the game. And it changed the game in so many ways that this generation right now, and I'm Generation X. And so since that time, I peg it at about like 4 different generations. There's a boomer generation, there's Generation X, there's Generation Y, which is technically the millennial generation right now. And then there's Generation Z, which is my daughter's generation, right around 20 to 30, like 20, 25, somewhere around there. So you're looking at a minimum of 4 generations. In those generations, we have seen a decline in marriage, and we have seen a spike in divorce that kind of topped out right around about the mid 90s. And then that divorce rate kind of leveled off because people stopped getting married. And the reason that they stopped getting married is because they started opting in for this equal partnership, egalitarian idea that did not exist prior to the sexual revolution. So if you look at what happened before and after the sexual revolution, that's when you see that is at that point in history where you see it's the demarcation mark for everything that's been going on. And from what a lot of people talk about when it comes to like women.
When you say demarcation, what do you mean?
I mean, it was at that point in history when we see things like no fault divorce. We see an increase of women in the workforce. We see a increase of divorces, no fault divorces primarily. It's at that point we see Roe v. Wade become a thing. We see child support laws change. We see alimony that doesn't change. We see a declination.
And hold on, with Roe versus Wade, you know that she changed her mind, right?
Oh, I know. I absolutely, I understand that, but it doesn't make any difference of the people who are involved in that case. It's what did it do socially? Mm-hmm. What did it do socially to the generations that came after Roe v. Wade? Right. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. Like she could recant it all and say, you know, it was a big mistake. Sorry, I'm out. It doesn't matter. Well, the genie's out of the bottle.
Right? Mm-hmm. She brought her daughter to the courts and said, hey, I changed my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because that's the direction that everyone wanted to go. And that's where we're at right now.
What year was that? What?
It was in the 70s, early 70s, I believe. 70. Oh my God, when was Roe v. Wade? I think it was 72, 73.
The year I was born.
When did she have her baby? Was it the 80s?
1973. That's when it was.
Okay. You seem like you really, really know your stuff, and you're going off on a tangent about this, and I understand that because you wrote a book, but man, you were locked in. You were locked in. You're not having a conversation. You're really locked in.
Well, no, I mean, when I listen to, and it doesn't matter whether it's a man or it's a woman, like you guys were just talking about suicide just a little while ago. Men kill themselves at a rate of anywhere between 3.5 to 5 times the rate that women do.
Yes.
Women attempt it more, but men succeed more. And the greatest demographic of male suicide right now is right around between 45 and about 60, somewhere around like 45, 55. Let's just say that.
Thank God my husband did it when he was 34 so that he couldn't be assisted.
Right. Well, here's the thing is guys today, if you want to, so do you think things would be different socially if it was women offing themselves at even 4 times the rate of men right now? Is guys?
No, I think that we need to give men more attention.
Someone needs to mute their YouTube.
Offing themselves at even 4 times the rate of men right now?
Somebody needs to mute their YouTube.
It's Sam.
Okay, he's good. We're good.
He's got it. Okay. So what I'm getting at here is like you guys were just talking a little while ago about like an equal partnership, egalitarian marriage.
Yes,
that is a relatively new idea. That is only that idea is only maybe 50 years old, somewhere around there. So we're still figuring out what the results are of this idea that men and women ought to be equal partners, because what happens is
hang on a second, Jennifer. It's interesting to me that what I find, Rollo, is that a lot of women say they want to be equal to their husband, but then they get mad if the husband doesn't open the door or do all of these things that, gentlemen are supposed to do. So I feel like there's kind of this damned if you do and damned if you don't for guys sometimes. Mm-hmm. You don't know what should I do? Do I open the door for her? Is she going to be offended or is she going to appreciate it? You don't know anymore. Mm. And to me, I like that. I like that. My dad is a gentleman. My dad is 87 years old, and he is a true gentleman. Yeah. And he calls girls gals, and he opens the door. But my dad was also, my dad kept the bills and did all of that stuff. And that's how I was raised. And I think that you see a lot of millennials now that are raised by, the working two-parent working families, and maybe even mom makes more than dad, and mom controls all the finances. And you look at Chris Watts, he couldn't even log into his own bank on his phone because he didn't know the password. He had no idea that she hadn't paid the mortgage in 3 months.
Right, because men today are taught to relinquish any kind of authority based on just being male. Like your grandfather, I believe, what came from a generation where men held authority that was commensurate with their responsibility. So today we keep saying men need to man up, but men can't man up and be responsible if they don't have the authority to affect that responsibility. And so when we talk about guys need to take responsibility, guys need to do this, guys just need to do that. Great, that's fine. But they'd have no authority to do those things. They have no authority to direct and as a matter of fact, they wouldn't even presume to assume that authority right now, because they are also of the same mindset that it's all even Steven, right? That it's all egalitarian equalism right now, and that we should be equal partners in this. And when you get into those situations, particularly when it comes to women's nature, about wanting a guy who is taller than them, stronger than them, smarter than them, more, makes more money than them. We were just talking about that a second ago. And you look at all of the things that men have to become something to the point where they have to have more resources than the woman that they're with. And we'd like to think that it's all about romantic
selection and gene flow, though, is because when we were all back, when we needed a strong man to hunt and we needed to gather, and you can still see this when we shop. Isn't that natural?
As far as what? I'm sorry.
I didn't understand what you meant.
Explain it to me again.
When back in the day when we needed a strong man, when we were attracted through natural selection and gene flow, right? We're talking about sociology. In history, when women were looking for men, we wanted a hunter. And we were the gatherer.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that features quite a bit in a lot of the work that I do right now. It's evolutionary psychology. Human beings evolved from hunter-gatherer tribes, and in those tribes, you have to understand that a lot of the way that our biologies work, but men's biologies and women's biologies, women are the most vulnerable sex. I know that women hate to be called the weaker sex, but they are most definitely the most vulnerable sex, because it takes 9 months to gestate a child. And within that time, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And in our evolutionary past, in our ancestral past, picking the wrong guy could have been a death sentence to her. So that's why women have a much greater filter for the guys that they are, they're doing the choosing, right? What is it? Eggs are expensive, sperm is cheap. So yes, they do want that guy, and men tended to be the hunters while women were at, back at home, keeping the fires going kind of thing. They were the gatherers. And so women have a different kind of innate nature than men do. As a result of that, we think of women as as sort of like the nurturers. We see women as kind of like the life givers, right? They're the ones who raise the next generation. It takes, I mean,
wait a second, let's just cut the cloth right there.
Hmm?
The reason why our libido doesn't work until we're 35 or 30 something is because it would make no sense for us in our teenage years, in our 20s, to have a lot of men, right? To create a lot of children. When we have a child, and this is how history portrays itself, this is how the way that natural selection works, is that we protect what we have, our children, our child within our womb. We look for one man. With a man, he wants to display his sperm all over the universe because that's how he is going to get to be the bull, right?
All right, so let me explain a few things to you. At 35, in our ancestral past, you would be dead already.
No,
You'd already gone.
I'm talking about
Already, most likely you would be dead. So, we lived much shorter lives back then. So that's number one. Number two is, if you go and you look at the genomic record right now, I can show you the. I'm
a history major, so no, you're not making any sense because a lot of people lived beyond the 30s.
Right. Yeah, and that's true, and that's true. But we lived much shorter lives, and I can also show you the genomic record.
Hold on. I want to ask Jennifer a question because I feel like since you and Sam joined, she kind of changed her stance a little bit. I'm not
a big fan of Sam, actually.
Do you know who he is?
No.
Oh, well, why aren't you a fan?
Because I think he came on too strong, and I think he came into a chat that was talking about Chris Watts, and then he just started talking about.
Well, no, he came in. No, he came in and he heard you telling your story, and
he never heard my story.
No, he heard your. No, I'll let Sam answer you because he's still on, but.
No, Sam I like. It's the other guy I don't. Yeah.
Well, can I just say something real quick,
Yeah,
Jay?
go ahead, Kim.
I actually like that he's coming on because, Jennifer, it sounded like earlier you were talking about this, that men, you kind of, I don't want to say the wrong way, but maybe your husband felt a little repressed by certain things because of your character, because of your personality.
Yeah.
I think that that's exactly kind of what they're talking about, is men losing their role. And to be honest, I think that's exactly why it's important to listen to him, because if men are taking their lives at a very high rate because of exactly this conversation, when they try to speak up, they're not listened to and they're not valued and they're not heard as well. I think that's exactly what he's talking about.
It's just so hard for me as
but men need to be heard too. I mean,
yeah, they do.
You guys if you look at my analytics on my YouTube channel, it's like 15% male. The rest is female. Yeah. I don't get this perspective on my channel. So I'm just asking you to be respectful, but also, hear him out, like hear his.
I'm going to go.
Well, you don't have to leave the panel. I'm just saying, just be respectful and hear him out and let him explain where he's coming from. That's all.
Can I just segue into the conversation? I've noticed a lot of men have taken on different roles in the household. Like you see modern men that are cooking and caring and cleaning and taking care of children, like Chris. And I'm a traditionalist. So it was hard for me to see, she didn't even have to lift a finger.
Right.
And everybody sees that as normal. And I'm sitting there thinking my husband, he wants to cook. He likes cooking, but it piques a nerve with me because I'm like, oh, I love to cook, but that's my job to cook. He works. You know what I mean? So being a traditionalist, it's that's hard for me to see that it was expected of a male role in the household to have to do all of this.
I think there's. Dre, let me respond.
Go ahead, Rollo. Go ahead.
I think that I think that there is something intrinsic to women's nature that when they see a man in what we would generally call like female roles or doing things, it's what I didn't make this word up, but it's called chore play, right? And guys think that if they do dishes or if they change the diapers or if they do domestic chores, that we would, traditionally, let's just say, call a woman's gender role. When they see men doing that, and guys thinking that that's what they're supposed to do, because if they do those things, it's going to lead them to sex, right? So if they're doing the dishes, or if they're doing the things that they've been told that they like, maybe their marriage counselor told them to do, well, what you've done right there is you've negotiated genuine desire. And the problem is that most women don't have genuine desire for the men that they married. That's why you have sexless marriages. That's why you have guys who are in these marriages where they're just trying and trying and trying to figure out whatever the magic formula is to get her to come around.
Yes. Wow, you're so right.
Why is that though?
Why is that?
Well, I'll tell you why that is because first of all, like I said, I didn't say that. Jennifer, you said this, is that women were the ones who were the gatherers and men were the hunters. They were the ones who were going out there and collecting resources, collecting territory, because that's what made for a powerful man who could have more women to reproduce with back in our ancestral past. Women respect and they have an idea of what an alpha male looks like. And that's not the guy who is doing dishes with an apron around. That's not the guy.
So true. So true.
Funny, but he's not the guy that is aping the roles that a woman would naturally do. And that's why women kind of like and here's the thing, it's like, and I said this before, it's like, since the sexual revolution, we think men should accept that we should get in touch with our feminine side. We should express ourselves more emotionally. We should be more like a woman. The more men identify with a woman, the more women will like them. That is a patently 100% false. And it comes from exactly the thing you guys were just talking about a moment ago, which is egalitarian equalism, which comes from the blank slate. It's the idea that men and women are exactly the same. We just have different plumbing. Like we have exactly the same potential. Well, a woman can be an astronaut and a guy can be a mother. And we've taken it to such an extreme right now that we've changed genders and the idea of what gender should be. So we can say, oh, a man can give birth and a woman can have a penis, right? That we are, because we think of things in terms of like social construction. All of that goes back to egalitarianism and the blank slate.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
But that's not how we're built. That's not the way that we evolve. That's not what I call our evolved mental firmware is.
And I find it interesting hearing you talk about how it evolved to where we are now.
I'm on a Zoom call.
That's
yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's where we're at, and that's where we're at right now after just 50 years. Just 50 years since the sexual revolution, where we said, okay, let's throw all the rules out the window and let's see what we can do if everybody is playing like as if everybody is equal and men and women are the same rather than men and women are different. And I'll tell you this right now. A lot of people think, oh, well, Rollo Tomassi, he's a misogynist, or Rollo Tomassi, he's a chauvinist, or he thinks he's a superiorist, or well, I don't know, make up whatever word you want. I've said this before, and I'll say it right here on you guys' show as well, is I believe that men and women are better together than we are apart. But since the sexual revolution, all we have done is found ways socially and psychologically to separate men and women, that complementarity between men and women. I've been married for going on 25 years right now. My strengths make up for my wife's weaknesses and vice versa. And we accept that and we go with that. That's why we have a very successful marriage. I've got a great daughter who's 22 years old right now. Aww. And we have been in love and we have lots of sex and we have lots of fun together. And we really, people say, oh, they just click. It must be something. No, it's because we accept our complementarity with the other rather than saying my wife from day one, when she was my girlfriend, Sam knows what story I'm about to tell. When I was dating her and we would go out on dates or whatever, and we were going to take her car, she would hand me the keys. And she says, you drive. And that set the tone for our relationship ever since then. I think I can count on the fingers of one hand how many times my wife has driven me around, and usually it's because I was coming back from like root canal or something like that. I was still, sedated or something.
That's so interesting that you say that. I've never really given that much thought, but I always give my husband the keys when we go somewhere together. Always,
because you expect him to drive the car.
Yeah.
Do you trust, Dre? Do you trust your husband with your life?
Yes. 1000%. Yes.
If your husband came home and he had 2 parachutes, he says, "Hey, honey, we're going skydiving for the first time in your life. I packed your chute. Let's go."
I would do it.
Are you going?
I would do it. I would do it, dude. I mean, my husband's military. Like, he's been deployed. We've done so much stuff.
With
like,
your
we've had
life.
to go. Yeah, we've had to go through sacrifices together. Like, I trust him with everything.
And so that's complementarity right there. It's where you believe in his vision and the direction that he's going. And I think what we have done systematically since the sexual revolution is we taught women not to trust men. Men today are either buffoons or they're abusers or they are
labels.
incompetent, right? So
God, you're so right.
So
there's labels.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about the sitcoms of the 80s into the 90s. You're like Dr. Huxtable, or you're Everybody Loves Raymond, or you're Homer Simpson, right? It's the buffoon husband who the wife has to save from himself because he's too stupid to figure things out, and it takes a woman's unique whatever to turn him around or to save him from like setting the house on fire or something like that. And then you've got the guy who is the borderline abuser. He's the guy who has the potential to, like, she's a battered wife. Like he has the potential to be so violent and she can't get away from him, but she can't help that she is still, in love with him.
A lot of women want to play that game.
Wait, let's let him finish. Let's not interrupt.
These are archetypes. These are the archetypes that we sell to women and to men, by the way. So when you get a guy who is trained that way, it's what I go through like an analogy of red pill and blue pill. We condition our guys to sort of live in this blue pill world where that's what they expect from themselves. We confuse masculinity amongst men. We either confuse it or we make it, we demonize it. We call it toxic. So you get to the point where we've got 4 generations of men who were boys raised as if they are defective girls. They don't understand what masculinity is. They don't understand how to relate with other guys. They don't understand how to, like, what masculinity is at all. And here we are in 2020, and I'm having conversations with like Candace Owens, who's talking about like Harry Styles and why he wore a dress. Right. I'm having to explain this to people in like nuts and bolts, but people don't want to hear that. Because for the past 4 generations, we've had nothing but men and nothing but young men and boys who have been taught to be confused about what masculinity is. So what do? They make it subjective. It's whatever I want it to be. It's whatever women tell me it is to be, because men don't have any expectations.
I know Candace Owens personally.
What's that?
I know her personally. My dad dates her aunt. I don't think she ever said that.
No, are you kidding? Go look on YouTube and look up Candace Owens and Harry Styles. You will see exactly.
Wait, what?
You're fighting for Black Lives doesn't matter. I mean, that's what she's been fighting for.
Go look up Harry. Go Google Harry Styles and Candace Owens right now. You'll see exactly.
Really?
Wait, Rollo, I have a question. Do you do any type of I know you write books, but do you do any type of workshops for young men or for parents that want to teach, their sons to kind of get back to the, the grassroots of that, being that man? Do you do anything like that? Do you have anything about that? I've
done talks. I've done conferences in the past. I have done workshops. I have my own, I've got, I'm on 2 shows. I'm on a show called Rule Zero it's a panel show with anywhere between like 6 of us and 10 of us, something like that. And then there's my own show, which is on Sundays and on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And so I talk about this stuff, and I do counseling. I don't do any, like, I've been so like absorbed with book 4 right now that I have not really considered doing much else. But now that it's done, I probably will.
Oh, what good timing.
Yeah.
For real. No,
I think it's great timing. Yeah, for real.
Very interesting.
My one of my attorneys works in the prison systems in Florida, and she's trying to get my book into the Florida prison systems right now, so that the guys who are there can sort of like learn like how they got to where they're at, kind of thing.
Wow,
you know what?
This is
I would like to get this book for Chris Watts. To be honest,
yeah,
I would like to.
Chris Watts needs this book.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jay. That's 100%. I love this.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy.
Well, I and again, it's hard for me to explain this in this day and age, let's say, because again, like I'm up against 4 generations of men and women who've been conditioned to think that egalitarianism and, social constructionism is the way of the world. It's just the way that things ought to be. And people we take it for granted right now. My mother-in-law actually lives in the unit down below me here. And I remember talking to her one time about, what things were like back in like, say the 50s and the 60s. And she told me that like when a woman had a child out of wedlock, like say right around like the 50s or the 60s, somewhere in there, that brought great shame on the family, and they had to put her away. That's what she called it. They had to put her away so that she could go have the child. And then the child would go live with the grandparents, or they put it up for adoption. But it was a religion. We had buffers, man. We had buffers like religion. We had social stigmas and things like that. So it was, to be a single mother back then was not like it is today. Because today a woman can electively become a single mother. She can go down to the fertility clinic, whatever you want to call it, select the sperm. She can freeze her eggs and have that, well, at least ostensibly have that baby later on in life. And she can electively become a single mother. And it's not even just that. Right now, if you look at this statistically, again, 43% of births in the United States are born out of wedlock right now. And we call women who are single mothers superheroes. We pat them on the back. It's a point of pride right now. And remember, this is only 50 years. This isn't like, it took hundreds of years to get to this point. We're talking only 50 years and one invention, and that was hormonal birth control. And so when you look at stuff like that, how do changes like that change society? And we don't even realize what the effect of that change is on society until we get to 2020. And now we're looking at stats and we're looking back and going, holy crap, this is what happened. So yeah, how the hell did we get here? It's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah, and I'm not, again, like, so when I relate that to someone, when I say, well, back in the day, there was a stigma against single mothers. Today, single mothers are superheroes. I'm not saying one's bad and one's good. I'm saying, why is this? I'm connecting dots that people don't want to have connected right now, because they think that if I say something that is unflattering to women, that I'm a misogynist or I'm coming down on them. Or it's like, no, I wouldn't be doing this. I would be indifferent if I didn't care about what was going on in the state of intersexual dynamics.
Dude, you have blown my mind. Like, everything that I've asked, you know what I mean? Like, why did I have 2 failed marriages? What did I do wrong? You know what I mean? Like, but my husband and I work, like we're happy with each other. We're content. We love each other. And it's like, I look back at other things that I've done in my past 2 marriages, and it's like, wait a minute. Well, he did things wrong. I did things wrong, like because you came into it with expectations that were conditioned into you by parents, by pop culture, dynamic, factor,
so many different influences that condition a guy and this is not just, I mean, we can talk about religion, we can talk about politics, we can talk about all this other stuff. I'm talking about intersexual dynamics. So you look at the things that guys expect from themselves when they get into a marriage. They're willing to give everything, right? It's like, she's the one, she's my soulmate. She's like, they have no ambition, they have no authority, and they believe that's the way it should be. Again, 50 years. That's all it's taken to get to that point. When we look back and we look at like the generation, like we call the greatest generation, like the guys who went and fought in World War II or World War I and all the way up to right around the sexual revolution. When we look at those generations, we think of them in different ways because we think of them, if you're a feminist, you think of them as like the evil patriarchy, or it's guys just were crushing women's souls and they were just in bondage and chains and everything, and the suffragettes and all that good stuff. But when you get to the point where you get to the sexual revolution and things change a little bit, now we have to look at things in a different light. So when you look back at the stuff that happened before that, I'm not saying, hey, let's go get in a time machine and go back, but let's at least look at what happened since then and go, where do we need to course correct here?
No, I fully agree. Well, can I ask you, because I've seen this comment come up in chat a couple times. Some people are saying, so he's saying it's okay to cheat as far as men.
Okay, so here's what I've said in the past is I'm a proponent of non-exclusive dating. I call it spinning plates. That's the euphemism for it. I do not believe, I think guys need to remain non-exclusive and non-monogamous until they get to such an age where they have an understanding of women's nature and they have an understanding of the game that they are in at that time. Does that mean I'm saying go and have sex with anything on two legs? No. What I'm saying is to keep your options open until because for men, it takes longer. We already know this. It takes longer for men to mature than it does for women to mature. So and that's physically and that's mentally. Women get to a point where it's just like they're up and they're on it. For women, I look at their sexual market value peak at right around 23 years old. For men's sexual market value peak is right around 35, 36, 37 years old. I'm not saying that 23-year-old girls are all hot for 35 or 36-year-old guys, because they're not. But what I'm saying is that at their most desirable, women tend to be at their most desirable right around 23 years old, right around that peak. For men, it takes longer for men to achieve the things that make them most attractive. And so as a result, what guys will do is they'll say, well, they'll fall into this idea of what I call the romantic ideal. And so in somewhere in like between 18 and like say 30 years old, guys are ready to they're very idealistic. They would love to settle down. They would love to, because they don't know any better, but women aren't really interested in long-term relationships when they're at the peak of their power, their agency at that point. So, and the joke I always make is that the store is called Forever 21. It's not called Forever 41. And there's a reason for that. Because that's where women are that's when you're at your peak. That's what you want to get back to.
Hey guys, sorry, I had to leave for like 15 minutes.
Okay.
You're okay. Okay. Rollo, keep going. I got to hear this. Keep going. The Forever 20. Yes.
So anyways, in my second book, it's called Preventive Medicine. And I had so many guys who I was meeting after I had done book one who were saying, I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would. How can I want to get Rollo? When should I give this book to my son? And I'm like, well, let's talk about that for a little bit. But they were saying, I wish I would have known this sooner because I wouldn't have made the decisions that I made. I wouldn't have gotten into this relationship. I wouldn't have changed my major in college so I could have facilitated a relationship. I wouldn't have taken this job in another state so I could be closer to her. I wouldn't have done all of these things had I known the stuff that's in my first book. So what I did was I said, okay, well, it seems like there needs to be another book. And what I did was I created a timeline of what guys could generally expect from women at different stages of women's maturity. So I go from about 15 years old for women and girls all the way up to about 50 years old. So right before menopause. And people will criticize me and they'll say, well, why did you start it at 15? Because I have guys who are in high school boys ask me these questions about the girls that are in their high school. That's why I started at 15. And so from about 15 years old till, at different phases. So when a woman goes from say 18 to when she's about 28 years old, that's when those are her party years. Those are the years where she can explore her options. I was so wild in college. That's when she does things that maybe she will probably never do at any other time in her life. That's where women have their most casual sex is anywhere between 18 and about 28 years old. Then there's what I call the epiphany phase. And the epiphany phase is this: it's between 29 and 31 years old. And that's when women say, okay, I am no longer as sexually competitive with my sisters for the guys that I want to get with in the long term. And I need to do something different. I need to start thinking about things in the long term. If I want to have a family, if I want to settle down, I got to start looking for a guy with benefits. And they start looking for men in terms of long-term security as opposed to short-term sexual interests, which is what pretty much defined 18 to 28. And that's when they want to get right with God. And that's when they want to make these guys jump through the hoops, and they want to make guys do things that they never would have asked the guys to do when they were in their party years.
Wait, holy crap. Like I'm missing the thing, because in my 20s, I was such a prude with my husband, and then now I'm a slut at 38. Like,
right. Okay, Jennifer, let me explain something to you. You will go through this phase depending on what your choices are and what the choices that you made at any particular time. So where you be at, Jennifer, is what I call making up for missing out. So what happens is again, statistically, marriages that happened earlier in like the party's lives, like if you get married at like say 19 years old, those marriages tend to fail at rates that are way higher.
I got married at 32, and I was into long-term relationships all over my 20s, and I was a prude in college.
Did you feel okay? So when you got married, I
didn't have a sexual drive until my husband died. Is that weird?
I would have to.
Yeah, that's not normal.
But I would say that. But I would also say this is the reason why I don't know enough about your background. I don't know enough about what, the circumstances of your 20s up to where you're at in 30s. But I think one of the things that a lot of women make a mistake about is they think that their sexual prime is actually somewhere between 35 or 40 or something like that. And if you have a sexual prime, or if you had a biological clock, it was ticking at about 23. Because that's when you are at your most fertile. That is when you are able to carry a child to term. That is where you are most likely to conceive.
Never wanted someone to touch me. No,
I'm going to say mine was different. I got married at 18. And so mine was a little bit, I have to agree, at about 22, 23, I was at my hike, man. My mountain was high. You know what I mean?
Maybe something's wrong with me.
My mount was a little high at that age, but
again, the stats are this. If you go and you look, there's a great book. It's called Dataclysm, and it was written by the statistics were collected by OkCupid and I think Match.com as well. And one of the surveys they did, or the data sets that they get from dating profiles and things, is men tend to find, of all ages, from like 18 all the way to like 80 years old, all peg their most attractive woman, their ideal woman is 23 years old, and it does not change. So it's like 21, 22, 23. That's one of the reasons why I called that sort of like the sexual peak area for women. For women, it's different. When women get older, they're looking for a man who's anywhere between 3 to 7 years older than they are. And so when women who are 24, and they survey the women at 24, they'll say, a guy who is 27 or 31 looks most attractive to them. You go up a year or two, and then the men that they find more attractive are a little bit older than they are. And I'll tell you, there's an evolutionary reason for that. It's because women on some level of consciousness, on some level of evolution, understand that it takes longer for a man to achieve the things that make him most attractive. Because yes, you guys, women want a man who's attractive. They want a guy who's arousing. They want a guy who's got broad shoulders, 6-pack abs. They want the guy who is got the chiseled chin. They want the guy who has all of those masculine features, but also he's got to have some sort of survival value. So he's also got to be a good dad. So it's cads versus dads. It's what we call it. I'll give it to you the nice way. It's alpha seed and beta need. You're looking for the guy who's the alpha, the bull, right? He's the guy that you really want to have sex with and really want to have a good time with. And he's the guy whose babies you want to have. It's not that you just want to have babies. You want to have his babies, because that's the guy that turns you on. He's the hot fireman in the fireman calendar. Okay. That's the guy that you want to get with.
Yeah.
Then there's the guy. Well, then there's the guy who's the dad, right? There's the guy he has what's called survival benefits. It's what I call the 3 Ps. It's provisioning, parental investment, and protection. You're looking for a guy who is a good bet, who has got a good job. He made partner in the law team. Maybe he's a surgeon. Maybe he's doing his residency and he will be a surgeon. He's the guy with some good prospects for the long term. And generally, women can't find that balance in one guy. And so when we give women the opportunity to have casual sex like we have done since the sexual revolution, that's when we have the problems that we have, because women tend to focus on one or the other. So when women get to the epiphany phase, they're looking for good dad. They're looking for the beta bucks. They're looking for the guy who has the good long-term security potential, the guy who will be a good father. He's going to read to the kids, and he's going to, maybe he'll, go to a piano recital, and he's going to be the good dad potential, but he's not necessarily the exciting guy that she had when she was in her party years, that she really had a really good time with and she really wanted to do, hot monkey sex with. That guy is not necessarily the other guy. And it's when women can find that balance that they have a really good relationship and a really solid marriage. But today, more than ever, those guys are delineated from each other. So you've got more and more guys who are the more beta male guys. They're the 80%ers. They're the 80% of guys are unattractive to women. Literally, that is the designation that women give them. They are not, it's not that they're average, they are unattractive to women. And then it's the 20% of guys who are the guys that they really, really want to get with, that they all fight for. And this is what's known as hypergamy. So it's always looking for the guy who is the best of either the guy who has the most potential, the guy who's the beta bucks, the 3 Ps, or it's the guy who is, he's the hot man in the fireman calendar. He's the guy that they really want to have sex with. And at different times in women's lives, they can have an easier time getting one or the other. So if you've got a woman who is like, say, 22, 23 years old, she has a better chance, assuming she stays in shape and she, let's just say she maximizes her potential. She's going to have an easier time getting with the guy that she really wants to have that sex with. And then when she gets to be 28, 29, 30, it's not that she's ugly or she's hit the wall all of a sudden. Like we talk about the wall all the time. And I do talk about how women hit the wall, but I don't mean it in a physical sense.
What's hitting the wall? In your terms, what's hitting the wall?
Okay, well, most guys in my sphere of influence, let's just say, they're either too happy or they're too sad about the wall. Because most guys will say, well, once a woman hits like 32 years old, she's hit the wall and she's undesirable. Well, she's undesirable from the guys who want to get with a woman who's 23 years old, right? So it's not that she's hit the wall, it's because she becomes less sexually competitive with the women that she used to be. Uh-huh. So, like I said, Forever 21. That's why we call it that. When the cosmetic industry is not a multi-trillion-dollar juggernaut, because women want to look older. They want to look younger.
Right?
Yeah. There's no line. It's all over the place.
Yeah. So they're So what happens is like I peg the wall. If there's a wall, I usually peg it right around the epiphany phase, somewhere between 29 and 31 years old. And it's not necessarily a physical thing. There are plenty of women who are 34 years old and they can compete in Fitness America pageants, right? They are absolutely stunningly gorgeous. They have their own business based on how good they look, right? Mm-hmm. And so what happens is it's not necessarily a physical thing, although it can be, but it's a mental thing. Because at somewhere along the line, on some level of consciousness, women realize I'm not getting any younger. I'm not going to be forever 21. I can't go back to that. And that what happens is, like I said, on some level of consciousness, women recognize or they acknowledge that they are less sexually competitive than they used to be when they were in their party years. And they've got to find a way to consolidate with a guy who has good potential, because they know that attractiveness and the things that made them maximally attractive are perishable. They're on their way down at the same time that if a man maximizes his potential is on its way up. So he's just about to hit 35, 36 years old, and he's hitting his peak potential. He's hitting his stride at that point. When women get to be about 30, women are on the decline, men are on the ascent at that point as to what can potentially make them the most attractive that they would be at any other time in their lives. That is why I say guys need to wait until they're about 30 maybe 32 before they decide that they want to become exclusive. They want to get into monogamy because it's at that point that they have their highest sexual selectivity of the women that they want to get with. And hopefully they have good judgment and character. They've understood women's nature. They've had, I'm not saying don't date. I'm just saying, don't get into any kind of like commitments. Don't get into any kind of monogamy until you're at a point where you can make an educated decision, where you can actually say, okay, that's what I want and that's not what I want. And for women, I think women need to look, if they're looking for a guy, they need to maximize their potential. I tell my daughter this too. My daughter's 22 years old. I say, you need to maximize your potential right now. You're about to hit your peak. You're almost at 23 right now. And this is the most agency you're going to have, because this is when guys find you the most attractive, because you're at peak potential.
No, I fully agree. I think there's a lot of factors in a marriage too. I do have a question. Mm-hmm. As far as like social media in today's day and age, how do you feel that can affect a marriage, or does it affect a marriage? Social media? Yeah. Like mm-hmm. constantly being on social media. Like I'm on my phone sometimes my mm-hmm. husband's on his phone, but as far as men, mm-hmm. sometimes women, we're more on our phone sometimes more than men. Well, that's because, I'll give you another example here. I think one of the things that social media does to women is it does something different to women than it does to men. We talk about pornography for men. And we say, well, men have pornography addictions. That's because men's primary innate evolved mating strategy is to seek out unlimited sex with unlimited sexuality with unlimited partner, like unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. And pornography satisfies that. Pornography, especially you want to know why we have free online streaming 4K pornography that we can access it on my cell phone right now in half a second. The reason that it's free is because that's what guys want. That is men's innate mating strategy. If men could get unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, they would, even if it's virtual. So there's that side of it. That's because that's what men's mating, that's the way our brains work. Like we're always on. Women's sexuality tends to be more cyclic. So it's like she needs more time to get hot and all this other good, but there's other things that go along with women's sort of attraction and their arousal phase, which is there has to be a story to it. There has to be some kind of communication. There has to be a good backstory. And that comes back to how men and women communicate. Because when women communicate with other women, they're communicating in a covert sense. So it's nuanced. Women have a much, and again, this is biological, neurological gender differences between men and women. Women have a greater facility for language. They have a greater, let's say, a natural proclivity for communication. So when women are talking together, they're taking in more information during that conversation than just what's transferring over their lips, right? They're looking at facial expressions. They're looking at body language. They're looking at the shoes, the cute shoes you wore, like how you presented yourself at that time and how that conversation made them feel. So when women communicate with other women, and women communicate with guys too, is they prioritize the context of the conversation above all else. And then maybe the information that comes after it. For men, it's the opposite. Men communicate content before they worry about anything about has to do with context. So when women say, oh, men don't listen, well, they are. It's just they prioritize the content of the conversation as opposed to how it made them feel. So when women get together and they communicate with one another, it's like, let's go have coffee, because it's enjoyable for women to communicate. They want to set aside a special event to go down to Starbucks and sit down and catch up, right? And so when and this is another example I've used. You've probably ever been in like a social situation where you've got a group of women who are together that they're familiar with. It's a social, maybe a party or an event of some kind. And guys can be right there in that social event as well. And a woman walks in and she's, reasonably attractive, and, guys kind of take notice. And women pick up on things, on sub-communications that men simply do not get. And so when that woman walks away, then they look at their friends and they go, did you see that dirty look that bitch just gave me? And you're right there as a guy, you're right there in this, and you didn't see anything happen whatsoever. And he's like, well, guys don't get it. Well, no, they don't get it in the same way, the same language that you're speaking. So women, if women can convey feelings
with a dirty look. They can convey feelings with the context, I should say, with subcommunication. Whereas for men, when men communicate, it's all about information. It's like, what are we doing? What's the project? We're innate problem solvers. So when men communicate, they do their best communicating when they have a project. So if they're out fishing or they're fixing the car, they've got some sort of collective, cooperative thing that they're going to do. Men tend to gravitate towards common interests, and then they communicate as such, because men prioritize the information and the content of conversation over how it made them feel. So when women are communicating, it's all about the feelings. For men, it's all about the information. Now, I'm not saying that it's not like the information is not important for women. It's just how they prioritize it. So with that in mind, when you throw social media into this, that is something that gives women a huge dopamine hit, because it's enjoyable to converse. It's enjoyable to have that conversation, even if it's digital, even if it's just like, texting your bestie or whatever. Women tend to be more wrapped up into social media than men are. And as a result of that, that's where they get that kind of addiction to that, in a similar way that guys get addicted to pornography. I made a tweet one time on my Twitter account where I said that social media is to women what porn addiction is to men, and people just lost their minds, because women, that's unflattering. It's unflattering about women's nature. But if I tell you women have a greater facility with, or a better proclivity for language and communication than men do, they go, oh yes, I agree 100%. But if I say, but social media is something that preoccupies women, or something that is, I would say, it's almost like a romance novel. Like, you want to know why romance literature is such a it used to be the old school pornography for women, but the reason why it's so satisfying is because it's the communicative aspect of the medium, and that's what social media does. Have you guys seen it's on Netflix, it's called The Social Dilemma? It's a documentary about how
I haven't
Google,
watched it yet, but it's on my list of things to watch.
You should really watch that, because they'll explain this to you. Of course, I'm looking at this sort of with my own lens, where I'm intersexual dynamics, and so when Google or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram is another great one. When those companies, well, of course, Instagram is owned by Facebook, but when those companies are developing those social media apps, they're trying to make them addictive in the same way that, like, say, a gambling addict gets addicted to like a video slot machine or a video poker machine or something. They keep coming back over and over again, because it's with every new, hit of the pull of the lever, or it's very operative conditioning. It's like behaviorism, like the rat hits the lever and the pellet comes out. It's a very similar dynamic to that. And these companies make their interfaces and they make their social media so immersive that it becomes something that is like a dopamine hit for the person using it. I'm not saying men don't get that same dopamine hit, they do, but for women, it's a different thing, because communication is something that's like kind of hardwired into women's brains. And so, yeah, it can be a problem. I would also say that when it comes to social media, when it comes to presenting women's selves, like say on social media, when it comes to like Instagram and things like that, Instagram and the access to, remember, digital photography, like I'm looking at you guys as icons or your avatars right now on Zoom. We've never had anything like this. Like if I was going to like say, oh, what does Jay look like? What does Dre look like? You guys would literally have to send me like, physical printed pictures so I can figure out what you look like. We've never had this in the history of humanity right now. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, well, what's going to change? What's going to change society? And, digital, we're in what I call an age of new enlightenment. And part of that is social media. How does that affect women's egos? How does that affect men's egos? I don't know if you guys are familiar with OnlyFans, but OnlyFans is basically Patreon for cam girls who want to show off their bodies and show off their sexuality, and men will pay top dollar for that. It's no longer the strip club that guys get addicted to.
It's virtual. It's now virtual.
It's all virtual. So how is that affecting that? So anyways, guys, I have to go. I got to go pick up my daughter. So
oh, dang. I was getting ready to,
enjoyable.
I wanted to pick your brain some more. All right. Awesome.
Just hit up Sam and he'll get in touch with you.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much.
All right, guys.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye. Wow. Thanks, Sam. This was great. Why are you laughing?
I just want to save men's lives. That's the main thing.
I mean, I don't think we even got to, hear his full story of, his experience that, you were telling us about. So I'd love to have him back on and have a discussion about that. And I do have some things that I would like to run by him and get his opinion on as well.
Well, y'all should do some live streams together.
Yeah.
You've got his YouTube channel there.
Absolutely. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Kim, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, I just love how this conversation went. I mean, like you were saying, that your audience and even mine, I've looked at my channel, it is very, it's predominantly women. And I think this was just a great, I was reading the comments, just scrolling back up right now and looking at all these people, reflecting about, their relationships and how they've been or what their husbands need. And I was like, this is a great conversation.
It really is. And it really is. And I changed the title. I changed the title because I put, what can we learn from the U.S.C case? And that's so true. And I've said that a few times in my lives, like, what can we learn from this? Because we've studied the social media so much and seen the videos, and we can pick up on dynamics from all of those videos. And I would love to ask Rollo his opinion on, the social media and the MLM involvement, all of that in this case, and how that would affect the marriage. And I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear his opinion on that. So Sam, let's set it up.
Yeah. We'll do it.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. I mean, I hope he's open to, me talking to him about, the U.S.C case. But it's a very good example of the extreme social media. And the reason why she was so extreme on social media was this MLM that she was promoting. And it's just a huge rabbit hole, but I would love to.
And that will destroy marriage. Absolutely.
Yes. MLMs destroy marriages. And, it's a lot of it is that, you could tell when you watch these videos that Chris was uncomfortable. He's an introvert. So he's in these videos and you can tell he doesn't want to do it, but he's doing it for her.
Right. And the travel that she was doing.
Yeah. I mean, how long can a marriage sustain this constant, our life is on Facebook Live? Right.
I mean, like Rollo obviously doesn't use his real name. It was concerning to me when he started, doing a podcast and was putting his face out there. Because he keeps getting doxxed and threatened by lots of people. So it's pretty dangerous. But the
Welcome
fact
to
is,
the club.
I mean, like in real life, I'm one of the few people out of the millions of people that read his stuff that actually know his real name and the names of his wife and daughter and everything. But you're not going to find his wife on social media, even if you knew their real names. She's not doing what Shannon Watts was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, she's not. You're not going to find her online doing what Shannon did. That's destructive to marriage.
It is, and you know what? It's refreshing to hear someone say that.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to hear someone say that because it's not normal to document your entire life in marriage. Like, he couldn't even be told she was pregnant without it being on a video. I mean, those are intimate moments, and he always had to probably be worried about his reaction. Was his reaction going to be the right reaction that she wanted?
And Jay, on her profile, I think there's, on the part that's, like for friends and families part, not the public part. I think she has 25 to 30,000 pictures on her Facebook.
Goodness.
That's an incredible amount.
It's a lot. I mean, she must have constantly had the phone in her hand.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, it's just like, okay, here's a good example. This is where I picked up in the Discovery. We saw Chris and Shannon's text. And when he arrived in North Carolina at the airport and she was there to pick him up, she texted him. She hasn't seen her husband in 6 weeks. And she texted him, let me know when you're on the escalator so I can film the girls. Like, they couldn't even reunite without it being staged. Like, okay, be ready. Let me know when you're there because I'm going to start filming. Like, it just seems like everything was like that. And that had to be maddening. I can't imagine, living my life that way. Like a reality show, basically.
Well, clearly she wanted to be a celebrity. And like Rollo has written, one of the chapters in his first book is there's no such thing as a long distance relationship. If you've got a long distance relationship, even in marriage, that person that you're with is an imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying like her being gone for 6 weeks. I mean, that's a long time for the wife and kids to go away.
Yeah.
Without dad.
I mean, look, Jay, you're married and I heard you talking about your husband earlier.
Yeah.
You respect this man. And I can't imagine you being apart from him for more than a few days.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're right. I don't even like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think there's more probably to that trip. I don't know. Kim can maybe shed some light on that, but it seems like that is just a massive amount of time to say, hey, we're going to go visit family without you while you're here just working. And you have no clue that I haven't paid the bills and the mortgage is behind 3 months. And now we have another one on the way. We got a bun in the oven. I mean, it was just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
And you heard Chris Watts on one of the, I think it was when they went and talked to him while he was in prison, that 2-part thing where they went, after the trial, and he's been in prison for a year or so. And he was talking about how with his mistress, she wanted sex with him all the time. But with his wife, it was hit or miss. And the fact is that, again, if a man doesn't understand how to become a man and how to be a man with his wife or significant other, then it's going to be a situation where she doesn't want him. And that's his fault. And that's another reason that Rollo Tomassi's books are so powerful, because they actually cause a male to become a man that is desired by the woman that he's with, but also by other women, even though he's going to be faithful to the woman that he's with.
Right.
If Chris Watts had just discovered Rollo Tomassi before all of this, everything could have turned around in his life.
Yeah, I have no doubt. But the thing that is perplexing to me is, why do men choose women that are controlling, women that are in charge, women that are wearing the pants? How do you stop the cycle, so to speak? I
have a question about that. Is it, do you think because men haven't learned their role, and so they're needing that person to kind of, they're maybe unsure of where they fit, in these pictures now, and maybe they're just waiting for someone to tell them. I mean, that's what it seems like.
We are for the past I'm 50, and since I was born, we as males have been taught that we are evil for being males. We are evil for having testosterone, and that we are to bow down to women, that women are better than us, smarter than us, in charge of the whole world, and that women are to be empowered, and that we are evil and weak because of our testosterone and masculinity. It's in every commercial. It's in every television show. Everything pushes men to believe that we are evil for our masculinity and testosterone.
You know, that just even hearing you say that gives me the chills. Just thinking that is, you know, how that's perceived. Like that's seriously, that's sad.
I'm enjoying getting the male perspective. I've wanted this for so long to talk about this case with a male. And
Yes.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's great to hear this side of things from
That's not been like drenched in this.
exactly
in this topic.
someone
Like,
who's fresh face,
awesome.
fresh. Yes, absolutely.
It doesn't make it okay what Chris Watts did.
No,
He could have just left her, you know, and as a man, sure, he would have lost everything and might have gone to jail because he couldn't pay alimony and child support. But that'd be a lot better than killing someone. There's no excuse for doing that.
there's no excuse for. You're right.
He should have killed himself, you know, before he did that. You know, like Jennifer, who was on here earlier. You know, she said that her husband hung himself, just like Rollo Tomassi's brother-in-law. He hung himself.
No.
Would have been a lot better for Chris Watts to have hung himself. But again, that is why. I mean, I have had opportunities to sell my soul, to be extremely famous, but I've never wanted to be famous, which is why in all the work that I got to do, that people would sell their mother's right arm to be able to do in Hollywood, all the stuff that I got to do, never on camera on purpose, because I don't want to be famous. But what I'm saying is the first time I've ever used my real name in my voice work is narrating Rollo's books, because thousands of men have stopped their own suicides. And this kind of thing that we're talking about with Chris Watts, probably a lot more of that is going to happen if men do not learn how to be men.
Right.
It's scary.
Well, right. I mean, you talk about him saving men from suicides, but could he also save men from being family annihilators or, you know, spouse killers, things like that? I mean, it goes beyond really suicide, in my opinion. I think that his stance can change a lot of different scenarios.
Exactly. And why do men get married? Why do men get married?
So they can be taken care of.
Men get married thinking that they're going to be able to have unlimited sex with someone that's crazy about them.
Really? That's what goes on in a man's mind.
But it doesn't work out that way. So one of the main premises of Rollo's books is you cannot negotiate genuine desire with a woman. You can't. And so that's what happens. That's what Chris was doing, is he was constantly trying to please her.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally came to the point where he realized that he couldn't please her.
Right.
And then he ends up with this crazy woman that he worked with who wants him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She had her own problems.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, had that continued, she may have killed that. His mistress, whatever her name was, may have killed him eventually. I think that what was the name of the mistress? I can't remember.
Nicole.
Oh, it was Nicole Kessinger.
Well, I think that she probably has borderline personality disorder.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
and she may have killed him.
I think Chris said something about her being bipolar.
I've always wondered
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he had to talk her off a ledge a few times, in his words.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's interesting the opposites that he went from Shannon to her, which was complete opposite. And I think he felt like he found what he was looking for in the moment, you know?
He did feel like that. I mean, with his girlfriend, he was able to experience a more natural kind of life, you know, and I'm speaking of like the area as far as like she was a very nature oriented person. And those were things that Chris liked and wanted to enjoy, and things that he'd experienced when he was younger that he wanted his children to experience. And so I think she brought a lot of that, like old style home comfort back in Chris. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Well, it's not just that, but she wanted him all the time.
Yeah.
And she wanted to go and do fun things. She wasn't concerned about her own fame, and she wasn't putting herself out there for men and women all over the place on social media. She was all about him.
True.
I mean, a male has no reason to be in a relationship with a woman, to be committed to one woman that is not all about him.
Interesting perspective, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like she could get on his level. Not a lot of women get on the level of their
No, they
male
don't.
spouse.
They don't take the they don't take the time and give the effort. And I'll say that coming from a woman, I do it. You know,
Me
I
too.
do. And I think, and that's why I've always thought with this case, there's got to be things that we can take away from it, and learn from, because there was a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nicole Kessinger made him feel like a man.
Yeah.
She made him feel like he was in control and that he was a man. I mean, where did they go? The Shelby Museum. He was all into Mustangs.
The car museum.
So they go to
yeah.
the Mustang Museum. I mean, he couldn't have been more in his zone than doing something like that, in my opinion.
I mean, and those are the things that he went back and talked to his parents about when he was in North Carolina, when he was telling them he was going to divorce her. And those are the things that he was almost giddy about. Like, I want to take the girls camping. I want to go to the races. I want to do all these things. Like, it just, like, I remember Cindy saying, like, he was so happy, you know, and they hadn't seen him like that in so long. And yeah, I think she really tapped into a spot in Chris that he hadn't, you know, been able to tap into himself for so long.
I just don't understand why I mean, I do understand it, like learning what we've learned about Chris, but how he stuck around for so long instead of leaving.
Well, I think a lot, if you go back to even his conversation with Nicole Kessinger, is that confrontation, you know, especially having kids involved. It was almost like, and this is my opinion, that maybe Nicole Kessinger gave him the courage to do it, you know, because he wasn't a confrontational person. And obviously to go through a divorce, especially with children, there was going to be an enormous amount of confrontation, especially with her having a very type A personality. That was not going to be an easy process no matter what. And so I think that Nicole, you know, maybe unintentionally just gave him that confidence to do that, because she even questioned him several times, you know, about finances. And have you talked to Shannon? He explained to her, you know, a situation that happened in the very beginning of their relationship when he did try to do that. And I mean, I've talked to him several times about different things that he now, where he's at, looking back, was like, wow, I really should have done things so differently throughout the duration of the relationship. And
yeah, I mean, Kim, I want to talk about a little bit when they were.
Wait a minute. It's not just that. It is not just that. I want you to think about this for a second. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all are women, and even a woman that is 375 pounds and not attractive at all, she can go out tonight, right now, and pick up a man. She can go out. I mean, there are plenty of places that, depending on where you are in the U.S., but right here in Nashville, it's midnight right now. And at the hotel I'm at, there are a bunch of restaurants. And she could go out and sit at any of these restaurant bars, and she could get her some from a decent man who is desperate. Most males are desperate. And so he's thinking to himself, he's stuck. He's stuck. And if he left her, at least she is someone that once in a while wants to have sex with him. But if he were to leave her, he's afraid that he couldn't find anyone that would want to commit to him, especially, you know, since he was stuck. He's stuck in the marriage. He's stuck with all these financial obligations. You know, they have that house, and apparently they were struggling financially. So it's like this. So this is a quote from Rollo's first book. So entrapped are we in our self-expectation and self-imposed limitations that we fail to see that we have always had the keys to our own prisons. We as men are just scared shitless to use them, to use those keys. And another thing he says is women would rather share a high value man than to be saddled with a faithful loser. And so rather than being a high value man, he was a faithful loser. And what woman wants a faithful loser? And so if a man doesn't, do whatever it takes to make more money and get his butt to the gym, start working out, making himself a more high value man, then he deserves to be cheated on. He deserves a woman that's going to go on all the social media and act like a celebrity and put herself out there to attract other men. That's what Chris Watts had. And he deserved that because he wasn't a man. He stopped being a man. Although he did lose weight, he was working out. He did get himself in shape. And I would imagine that Nicole, the girlfriend, was
Had a part
incentive
in
to
that.
work
Yeah.
out more. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, it's a thing commonly said among women that if your man suddenly starts working out, that you should probably take notice.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that Rollo tells men to do in his first book is to, if she starts acting like Chris Watts' wife did, he needs to get his butt in the gym because that is a woman is going to think, wow, he's going out and working out. He's starting to look good. Maybe he's getting ready to leave. I mean, that's directly from his first book.
Well, that sounds kind of like a game, though. No,
it's not a game. It's just self-improvement. It's self-improvement stuff that he should be doing anyway as a human being. I mean, straight from the first book, stimulating a woman's imaginings is the single most potent talent you can develop in any context of a relationship. So another quote is, nothing is as simultaneously fear-inspiring and arousing for women as a man she suspects is self-aware of his own value. And so males today are not aware of their own value because we are taught that we are evil because of our testosterone. And so here's a question I have for you. This is directly from his first book. Is a woman who applies makeup every day being herself? I mean, so a man who is getting his butt in the gym, getting in shape, and switching to all organic, non-GMO food.
I guess it depends. I mean,
is he being himself?
Well, it depends.
No, he's just improving himself.
Right. But it depends on the person. I mean, I don't know. You bring up makeup every day. I mean, I guess it depends on that woman, right? I mean, I know you're saying self-improvement. You're using it as an analogy. But, it takes me to that. Like, women are, as far as women, we're on this, like, we're put on the spot, to, if we get a little bit of a belly or, what I'm saying? Like, we are held to this standard, but then you see men walking around with these beer bellies and it's like, are you fripping kidding me? Like, why is there that double standard that a beer belly is okay and acceptable, but a woman gaining a little weight is not?
Well, that's women hold women to those standards.
We sure do.
It's not even about us.
We absolutely do.
Women are a lot more harsh on other women's looks than men are.
I absolutely agree. Dre, we just talked about this today.
We did.
We've come across quite a few women running this channel that are so critical of other women. They can't say, oh my gosh, you look good today, or I like your hair, or, you know, gosh, she's really pretty. You know, they instantly go, oh my God, look at her, you know, look at this, look at that. They pick each other apart.
Yeah. It's like they question. I mean, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't wear makeup. I wear makeup maybe once every few months. Like
I very
right
rarely
now.
myself wear makeup. Yeah.
My husband, I could literally be in a plastic bag right now, like a trash bag, and my husband would be like, hey, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he accepts me for me, and that's what matters to me.
Yep.
But
well, the man would prefer you to be naked anyway.
Right.
But true.
And another quote from his book, and the women may not appreciate this, but the men will. Who do women want to be with? So here's the quote from Rollo Tomassi, the rational male. Women want to be with men who other women want to fuck and other men want to be. That's the man that the woman wants to be with. The man that other women want to fuck and the man that other men actually want to be. And we're talking about going to the gym, and this relates to it. This is another quote from the book. Women, being the calculating gender, know all too well to hit the gym months prior to a breakup. She's not getting in shape for you, the man. She's getting ready to hit the ground running with the next guy she'll be fucking. So this is something that comes naturally to women to think about. But the guy, these dudes in these marriages, they're not thinking about that. You know, if she starts going to the gym, he's not getting suspicious. But she is if he starts going to the gym. This is just something that we are not naturally thinking about, and we are certainly not taught. Yeah. Because we're taught that men are evil and that men are the unfaithful ones always.
You're right. It's so true.
I agree. I mean, I'm just going to say in my walk of life, I fully agree. What I've seen, what I've had to deal with in my little almost 33 years of life. No, I fully agree.
Yeah.
So another quote from the book. Women are fundamentally incapable of loving a man in the way that a man expects to be loved by a woman, which sounds so harsh, but it's actually a problem on the men's part, not the woman's part. We love completely differently, men and women. So men are, what is it? We're idealist. Let me see what the quote is from the book. But I mean, we are the true romantics, not the women.
Why do you say that?
Because it's true. We're the ones that are, you know, thinking all this Disney, you know, dream stuff. I'm looking for the quote.
Hey, I just wanted to say Kim has to hop off, so I wanted to say bye to her and thank her for coming on tonight. And I want to kind of have, you know, another open panel discussion with Rollo. And I'd like to invite Kim back to do that as well.
I would love it. I think it's been fantastic. Sorry I have to go, guys, but I've appreciated this conversation. And I mean, just taking all these notes of what they've been talking about. I think this is a very important conversation to have. This is amazing.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Kim, before you go, this is the last thing. This is what I was just trying to say. Men are the romantics, forced to be the realist, while women are the realist, using romanticisms to affect their imperatives.
Wow.
So you're actually.
I can't wait to get that book, to be honest.
Right? Are you working on the Chris Watts case?
Yes, I speak with Chris every single day and his family.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Well, you should definitely. I will pay for you to do. I'll pay you whatever it takes to get Rollo Tomassi's books to Chris Watts.
Wow.
I would love to get that book to Chris. I think that would be a fantastic book. I mean,
He
I'm not
has
lying, you guys.
4 books, right?
This sounds like a great book for the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
for
telling
real.
you,
Get to
Chris
2021 on a
Watts
good
could
foot.
be a major, because apparently he is reading the Bible as well.
Yes.
If that's true, I mean,
It's very
he could
true.
really be a major influence on turning marriages and relationships around
Mhm.
and teaching men how to be men, like the men in the Bible.
Well, and to be honest, I think that would be, you're right on par with where he's actually at. That's a conversation we actually had yesterday about that, is exactly that, of just his ability to reflect back now on so many things that he's learned throughout this process. And I just really do think that this would be such an incredible book for him at this time.
You should put him in, I can put you in touch with Rollo himself. I would love to do that.
Awesome.
And I've died 3 times because of the hit and run accident. And I have been on the other side. I actually lost my salvation and I saw hell.
Wow.
Wow.
And so, this is a discussion that definitely needs to happen. The reason Rollo Tomassi wrote the 4th book, it's the Rational Male. All the books are the Rational Male. And then they have a subheading. And the subheading of the 4th book is religion. So there's a lot of Jesus in the 4th book.
That would be right up Chris's alley.
It would.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have actually asked me, like, is it true that it has got in touch more with his spirituality if he reads the Bible? And I'm not joking you. I mean, I hear people mock that, and I'm like, and I just keep thinking, like, don't we always hear that God gets you and grabs you and really engulfs you at your lowest to kind of save you and to help you? And I'm thankful that these people that have been through these hard situations and they're in prison because of choices or whatever, that if that's where they find God, then that's a great place for them to show up for people, because I think that that's when they need it, you know? But this sounds like it would be something. I mean, Chris loves to read. He's got a lot of time to read. So I think this sounds like it'd be a great addition to where he's at right now, to be honest.
For sure.
And Jesus may have put all this together for this reason.
I mean, I say that all the time. There's tender mercies
think
in this, and
Jesus is
there's
gonna show up on
obviously,
the scene in 2028.
yeah.
Well, this tonight happened by some kind of divine intervention, because it's just all aligned. It's way too crazy. You can't explain it.
Yeah.
That you just happened to stumble upon my live, Sam, and wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He was watching a video about Chris Watts, and then my video came next, and that's how he found the live.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's totally insane.
It is.
That your channel came up out of nowhere.
It is. It's really. It was meant to be.
It's divine. I like it.
Well, thank you guys so
Sam,
much
for your time. I really appreciate it. I love everything you've talked about, and Rollo's time tonight was fantastic. And I can't wait to myself look at these books and, learn from them. I think we all can.
For sure. Like you said, good holiday gift going on there.
For sure.
All right, Kim, we'll have a good rest of your night,
Thank
girl.
you guys so much. We will talk to you guys all soon.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Kim.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here, but Sam, I am intrigued. I'm intrigued by your story, and I think Kim's right. I think you need to write your own book and tell your story. It sounds like just
it's moving to hear your time.
not even just that. It's just like it must be very, very deep.
Yeah.
So
I'd lost my salvation, and after dying 3 times, there is no doubt that Jesus Christ is real.
wow. This has been so enlightening. And I just can't say, like, I'm glad that you stumbled upon my channel. And do you have an email or something? Oh, I gave you my Twitter handle. Did you get that?
Yes, I got it. I also tweeted the stream out.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll give all this other data here, but my email address is sam@livefearless.com.
It's sam@livefearless.com.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll be in touch with you, Sam. And I thank you again.
I can't thank you enough.
Yeah. This was great. I think chat really enjoyed it as well. So
yeah, it's amazing to hear a male perspective and for us to have two males. That's amazing.
we needed this. We needed this.
We did.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Sam, and enjoy the rest of your night. And I'm sorry I forgot your dog's name.
Oliver.
Oliver's so sweet. I was watching Oliver throughout the live.
I was too.
I think everybody wanted to kind of chill like Oliver was. All right. Well, thanks again. And thanks to Kim and everybody in chat and all the moderators. Thanks again. And we'll see you guys soon.